But I was thinking of the Funkadelic because like the Funkadelic is like everything. Like when I think of America, the America that I grew up in, my libertarian, neighborly, be good to everyone, give everyone the benefit of the doubt, be respectful of other people. We're all in this together, one nation under a groove. The Funkadelic was, to me, that was like the American band. The American experience was going to a Parliament show. That's what America was all about, especially being in Philly. That country, it's like the country that I grew up in is like gone. It's like, where did one nation under a groove go? I don't know, it didn't seem like it was that bad. I mean, it's like, I grew up in a country that needed improvement, and it was an experiment that needed constant refining. But it didn't seem so bad that the whole thing should be destroyed. It didn't seem that bad, but I guess most Americans are so angry that they really just do want to burn the whole thing down and
to the ground, I guess so.
Build something else, something ugly and angry and exclusatory and whatever the hell they're building. It's definitely not Funkadelic. I can tell you that right now.
They want to bring back something
I've been on the
from
mothership.
the past.
I've been on the mothership with George Clinton himself. Been there. The America I see, it is not the mothership. I don't even recognize it. I do not recognize this America. It's not Funkadelic, baby. Yeah, what happened to us? Ignore it, Fran. Oh, I wish I could. I wish I could ignore it, my God. Ignore it, Fran. Ignore it, Fran. Okay, so here we go. In the last few weeks, the administration has announced people who publicly speak out against the administration, or people who publicly espouse pro-trans rights, are going to be considered to be domestic terrorists and investigated by the federal bureaus to look into their social postings. The warning has been put out that if you're trans and if you're talking about trans rights, and particularly if you're critical of the administration, then you might be labeled a domestic terrorist. And on top of that, being threatened with investigation and possibly arrest for being trans, the White House said that they wanted to create an executive order to make it a federal offense for anyone who is trans to own a firearm. That statement coming from the administration that wants to ensure that absolutely anyone, including people who are found guilty of domestic violence and felons and everything else, will keep their firearms, that every American male will have a firearm. But if you're trans,
Come on, give me black.
They want to make it a felony to own a firearm.
Pac-Man.
And I saw this is the final solution. Send all the federal agencies to investigate and arrest trans people as domestic terrorists, and then make it a felony for any of them to be armed, so you disarm them. And if they arm themselves, you can get them on that. So basically, you're guaranteeing putting them all in prison.
Wrecked my shit. I just
men's
got it painted.
prison. So the trans women will go to men's prison, and the trans men will go to women's prison. The final solution is the problem takes care of itself. They make it illegal to be trans, which is, an oxymoron considering that the administration already, on day one, created an edict that trans people don't exist. And so trans people don't exist, but trans people are domestic terrorists, and trans people will be felons if they protect themselves by owning a firearm. A nation where we have more guns than people, but trans people are apparently the biggest problem and public enemy number one, although it was put in the paper that despite all of the shouting on the far right about trans people being violent murderers, and so trans people are about to go away permanently. Final solution? All gone. Because you know how long we last in men's prison in the general population. Yes, imagine how long Fran will last in the general population in the maximum security federal penitentiary. Yes,
What's up,
I can imagine how long that would last. I've seen movies. I know it's worse than they have in the movies, so So yes, is it any wonder that I don't sleep? And so, all that, knowing all that, and that's all real, that's all official, and it's all in the government ledger, it's coming out of the White House, it's coming out of the FBI, all that is official. Everything I just said, it's official, on the record. And in the comments, ignore it, Fran. Just stop being a snowflake, just ignore it. Wait, you can't take a joke? You don't think it's funny? Ugh. See, that's the problem with your libtards. You just take everything so seriously. They threaten you with arrest, tell you that they're going to put you in federal prison, say that you're a domestic terrorist. You're taking it so seriously. You're so owned, Fran. Owning the libs. You're so silly. But the people with question marks in the chat obviously don't read the paper. Where can I read about this? Frickin' read anything. Read any newspaper. Read anything that's not Fox News. Or just Google. Just Google it. President, Vice President Patel all made those statements in the last 10 days. And it's just, the thing that blows my mind is that, of course, and there's so many people in the chat are like, "Oh, I never heard about anything. Oh, that's that's not real." It's like, because you don't read the news. Because we're in a nation of people that do not read newspapers, that do not subscribe to newspapers, that do not read articles, that do not read books. If you don't read, you're not going to know anything. Why do people think that they're going to be informed if they don't read? And so people are shocked that I say these things. Where does all this come from? Where does all this come from? What? Just read the news, goddammit. And people are just like this. La 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 la. No, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. Well, I would have known about it. I would have heard about it. La la. I would have heard about it. I would have seen it. Well, what papers you read? I don't read newspapers. Well, where do you get your news? I don't listen to the news. Well, where are you here? I don't listen to people. Well, how would you be informed if you're not reading? How would you be informed? But here we are. Oh, but that's just the stuff that's trans-related. I mean, there's literally like 100 things every week dropping out of this administration. How many of you have read Project 2025? It's all in there. They tell you in Project 2025 what they're going to do. The entire administration is based on Project 2025. It's all in there. Everything that they're doing, it's all in there. It's just, they're literally going through the playbook. It's so much that even like the condensed news programs can't cover it all. And it is blitzkrieg politics. There's lots of parallels between what has happened in recent decades in the Philippines, in Hungary, Turkey. If you look at these other countries and watch the shift from democracy to autocracy, you see all the maneuvers, the changing the judiciary, weakening the judiciary, putting people in the judiciary to look the other way while the executive does whatever it wants to do. You get that, and then you get whatever the Congress or Parliament in the country to either be weakened or to turn the other way and not do anything about the executive. And within months, a couple years, the executive secures supreme power and total Reichstag time. And I'm watching this play out in real time. I read a lot of history. I know a lot of history. I know this playbook. There's no mystery to it for me. I'm not shocked and awed at it's a very straightforward point A to point B. I'm watching it all happen. I know what's coming. And I know, and this is the thing.
Thank you.
I know what is coming for me. Yes. Number one scapegoat. You're looking at it. Time to do some projects? Yeah, Fran. Why don't you do a project? Sure, they might put you in federal prison and all that for being a terrorist, but why aren't you doing projects, Fran? Why don't you smile more?
Welcome back to the underground, Fran.
Why don't you make us happy then? Yeah, I know you're going to prison, but just why won't you make me happy now? While you're not in prison, make me happy.
Our crumb.
All right. we're over time, everybody. That was just too much. Too much, too much, too much.
Yep. It is, bro.
If I'm still
It is,
around
It's all
next
too
week,
much.
we'll do this again. If I'm still able to do this job, I'll be doing it next week. We'll keep doing it until the wheels fall off and the agents grab me from an unmarked car.
It's true.
Which is probably the way it'll go down, so anyway. Alright, everybody. Talk to you next week.
We are taking ground fire.
Let's go.
Made miracles by passing.
Shit, what now? It's smoking rock. Get it! Hit the gas!
Grand lap. That's what you're watching.
Hey man, I'm running low. I got a K here. You fucking antique.
Grand lap. That's what I'm doing. Working at the bench again. I'm Fran.
U.S. bishops have spoken out following the shooting. Two others. The attacker was a 29-year-old Spanish national farmer. According to FBI director, the motivation may have been political. Yesterday,
because they're in the house right about now.
Bishops from several dioceses have released statements regarding the attack. For example, the Archbishop of San Francisco called for an added support. This is a spiritual crisis. A great deal of prayer is needed. Compassion is essential.
Holy
This
shit!
is not something the world can afford an excuse to release.
Some chips, bro.
Put up your window!
The attack was placed during National Migration Week, organized by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops.
Smoke, you're
Just ahead
insane!
of the
Hey, CJ, watch to the left. Hey, ain't we been here before? Hey, I'm taking what options I have, all right? Maybe if you have a nice word with these officers, they'll know they're going our way. Hey, look, brother. Hey, man, the idiot hanging on the back of the car. Somebody shoot him. Oh, shit. Not about him. You was a bad guy. CJ, cover the rear.
Hey everybody, this is Birch. Let's get right into this mail. It says, hello Birch, been listening on and off since about 2020. And I got into comics in terms of reading regularly around 2019. I'm more of a Marvel fan, so I'm wondering how to make it better. From what I've heard, people say it's a money problem as well as a higher-up problem. They seem to not really care, and in the case of the Spider Office, actively dislike the fan base. Well, I'll pause here for a second. I'll argue with people in comedy, like, they don't actually dislike the fans. Well, yeah, there's truth to that. Nick Lowe, who will post kind of sarcastic, spicy things at fans and to fans at different times. It does give the impression he dislikes the fan base. The truth of the matter is, and some of you may be going, this is a stupid distinction, is he dislikes some of them. He definitely likes some of the fan base, and that's true of all the people in comics. They like some of the fan base, they don't like others. Sometimes that dislike is justified. I understand you're producing a comic, and you need to care about all your customers, but some of the customers legitimately have wandered into complete a-hole territory, and you're not going to get them back. Now, I think it is, don't get me wrong, it is absolutely stupid to get in there and start throwing punches with them. Not because some of these people don't deserve it, but because you're putting, the rest of the people watching on expect you to, hold yourself with some dignity. And so from my perspective, when you see a Nick Lowe or a Dan Slott or somebody like that who's really going after people on social media, I think Dan Slott, I know this actually for a fact, will tell you, oh, I'm just playing. This is just, I'm just brawling. They're brawling at me, I'm brawling it back. None of this is that serious. This is what I'm doing. And okay, that's a position. The challenge is the people he's brawling with are not enjoying it. But worse, the people who are Dan Slott fans or are maybe just Spider-Man or Superman fans are watching on going, pardon me, sir, I came here to talk, Spider-Man. And instead I'm seeing two people argue about fascism. And it's not even, it's not even General Zod fascism. It's like a senator from Utah fascism. Like, why are we talking about a senator of Utah? Can we talk? I came here for Superman or Spider-Man. That's the problem is that it's the real person you're alienating is the onlooker. It's the person who's generally not black-pilled. It's the person who is fond of comics. The people who are screaming are making lots of noise, but that's highly unlikely those people are buying your comic anyway. From a pure commercial perspective, when you flip out, again, not good behavior, but the person that is the biggest destruction you're doing are to the people who are arguably on your side or trying to enjoy comics. Anyway, back to the mail. It says, while DC is killing it because of higher-ups like Scott Snyder really seem to care, and James Gunn, who is in charge of the movies and shouts out to the comics. I'm unsure about page rates, but people from Marvel seem to be heading over there a lot more than the other way around, meaning Marvel going to DC. You said they may get licensed out, which would be a good thing. Maybe. If they go to Dark Horse, would Mark Miller be able to get their hands on it? Maybe. Their hands on it. Oh, did I miss an announcement about Mark Miller's pronouns? No, I'm kidding. If I was them, I would hire the writers from Ghost Machine as well as Venditti, since he isn't doing much. But what do you think would fix Marvel? I'm unsure if this is how you read fan mail, but it was worth a shot. Thanks. Yeah, this is it. You got it. So what would fix Marvel?
Overconfident, skilled man.
Look, I think what would fix Marvel at a high level is just a direction. I think Marvel, it feels listless as a general feeling to fans, to retailers. It feels like we're kind of holding our breath, waiting for something to occur, and it's unclear like what we're waiting for. What are we waiting for to occur? When is it going to happen? What's next? There's an uncertainty around Marvel that is a reason why a lot of their creators are moving over to DC. DC's got a little bit of a cleaner, pitch right now. I think DC is doing a lot of active recruitment, which Marvel is not. I think this is, in some cases, I think a lot of what's going on and how you fix, Marvel is that Marvel has always had a certain hubris to itself. It has been the biggest company. As much as everybody will, whine and shout about they're woke, they're broke, and all this kind of stuff, Marvel still leads comics. They are the number one publisher. And more or less, they've been the number one publisher for a very long time. They're aware of that fact. They celebrate that fact, and they should. But they're also arrogant about that fact. And so, they don't really see any of these things as alarm bells, as things to be concerned about. And to be frank, because sometimes people call me that name. To be frank, there's no reason for them to flip out. When your company is on top, number one, winning in unit sales and dollar sales, it is hard to rally yourself to, dig deep and go win.
To be free, man.
But to use a sports analogy or to think about that, it would be a little bit like if a football team up by 17 points decided to just send all the first stringers home, throw in kind of the backups at the end of the second quarter, and start the next half just with, all the reserves and, not really caring. They will find that lead that will disappear very, very rapidly. And I think that's the danger for Marvel is that, they don't necessarily see the threat to their own business. Right now, people at Marvel are consumed with what's Disney going to do? Am I going to have a job? Is things going to get outsourced? You got people running around like, I don't have answers. I'm not sure how to execute. And, when you face uncertainty, it is very easy to get paralyzed and not know, I don't have answers, so I'm just going to try and hold the course for now. And when you get a company of people holding the course, and particularly a creative company holding the course, it doesn't lead to great results. And so that's what needs to happen is a spark of, guys, we need to go win. And somebody goes, wait, we're already winning. It's like, no. We need to win more. Like we truly actually, it's not enough to win by a little. We need to, it's in the words of like the Steve Ballmers of the world, we need to crush our competition. We need to send their kids to public school. We need to absolutely thoroughly dominate. I have nothing against public school, by the way. I find a lot of private schools are overly douchey and charge you for the experience. But anyway, that's the idea is that you need to have that competitive spirit. And I think a lot of people at Marvel are concerned where their job's going to be, how much longer is this going to last? I think there's a certain sense of fatalism about the company when you talk to a lot of the people who work there. Not the artists and writers, not the freelancers, but the office people. There's a strange emotional mix. It's a weird mix of arrogance plus fatalism. Like, we are the best in the world and we're about to be fired. It's a bad cultural thing. You need to bring some people in there that are going to repair the culture. And I think Cebulski, to his defense, I think attempted to do that. But he quickly became part of the machine, part of the rumors. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how many people, and a lot of people, have told me weird stories about experiences with Cebulski, where Cebulski's bringing up stuff like, well, I heard that back 6 years ago this happened, and I don't know. And I don't even understand why you would, the part of the benefit of being a leader stepping in is that you have a chance for a clean slate, where you go, hey, a lot of stuff happened in the past and we're not going to go litigate all that stuff, but we're moving forward. It's a new day. But instead, it seems like it's like, well, this happened at a party. Well, I heard that you had a problem bringing in pages, and well, I heard that actually, you posted this. What's weird is I've heard stories about them going after somebody, and there is a woman who was writing a number of things for Marvel during the Krakoa era, who was also a very aggressive anti-Israel Palestine person. I don't mean just like support Palestine. I mean like support Palestine and kill all the Jews. That's what I mean. That gets me demonetized saying stuff like that. But that was what was being posted, and the writer continued to kind of linger on at Marvel for a year, but is now gone. I mean, just no longer doing anything for them.
Let's do it.
And Cebulski brings it up to people. It's like, well, as an example, look at her, look at what she did. And it's like, yeah, let's actually complete that story. So number one, okay, those tweets are bad, but at the same time, you still let that person write for over a year while this stuff was being posted regularly. Why'd you, don't you think that sends a confusing message about your tolerance for this stuff? And then two, that writer was posting all this stuff before, like lots of it before. So, again, you hired her while she was doing this. You continue to let her work while she was doing this. And so what the hell?
Maybe you need to take me to Liberty City.
So, and by the way, your position could be, hey, look, this is a creative work. It's the creator has the right to say whatever they want to say. So we're not getting involved. Okay, you have the right to say that, but then that means you shouldn't be saying now, yeah, you can't post like that or it catches up to you. Like, okay, does it catch up to you or not? Anyway. I use this as an example to say it's confusing, and the lack of leadership there is a major problem.
McDonald's
at the end of the day, Marvel is sitting on the biggest characters, huge IP, the cash to be able to hire lots of different people if they want to. Yes, their pay rates are too low, and everything about their pay is too low. But they while their distribution problem is a problem, they're still dominant. Retailers will look in the catalog first for Marvel. in almost every case. You know, I don't know. I'm sure this irritates a guy like Snyder, but many retailers will, go to do their ordering. They start with Marvel. They calculate up how much their Marvel they're getting. Then they move on to DC. They still behave like that. So Marvel is sitting in the captain's seat, but they're playing like, there's a malaise to what they do, while continuing to claim they're the best company. It's very puzzling to me what's going on there. I think to fix Marvel, there's lots of little things we can do. It is that you have to fix the leadership, and you have to get the spirit of competition and the desire to actually go do things and be big going in that company. And until you do that, I mean, forget about it. So anyway, that's my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and thanks for listening.
You want to have some coffee?
Cool.
Don't be stingy.
Oakley received a visit from John Elkann, chairman of Stellantis, the company that manufactures cars, including Jeeps, Fiats, and Maseratis. Elkann, who is also the executive chairman of Ferrari, gave the Pope a mini car from the same company and the steering wheel of Leclerc, a Formula One driver.
The steering wheel. This is really used. It has been.
You don't need a Band-Aid right now.
No, it's
Yes.
Yeah, because these are
you need to
expensive.
connect
After
it.
they're back, I'll clean it.
So this is a Yeah, this is the real.
However, Elkann was able to explain the two gifts' significance with time.
This is the one you actually driving to drive. This is more for fun. Thank you very much.
This is not the first time John Elkann has visited the Vatican. In 2021, he met with Pope Francis and gifted him a baby blue Fiat 500.
Hit pause on whatever you're listening to and hit play on your next adventure. This fall, get double points on every qualified stay. Life's a trip. Make the most of it at Best Western. Visit bestwestern.com for complete terms and conditions.
When these billionaires are telling you you don't need to own a house,
I'll
it's
take a
not
bite.
just that
As soon
they
as
don't
I
think
saw
it's a
the
good
bag, I was
financial
like,
investment. Their interests are not served by you having block parties and seeing other people. They'd rather you live in a cell where people bring you Thai food and you watch YouTube videos about people or reality shows about people that do have homes. That's what people do. People in Los Angeles go to their cell on top of a P.F. Chang's, eat those lettuce wraps, which are good, and then watch reality shows about people that can afford to have a home. That's pornography now. You come thinking about having a place to see your friends. But they don't want you to have any friends. They don't want communities. It's the hollowing out of the entire thing that serves their purposes.
YouTube
and the only thing left is the bread and circuses and the Kimmels and the this and the that.
I guess so.
It's the only thing left.
Trans man.
And you're radicalized easily one way or the other, and they're pulling strings because you have less and less of your own shit. Don't have a community. You live in some global world where, like, every single thing is the most important thing. And then you go online and go, my take on thing.
But
you're supposed to care about shit that's like in a 10-block radius of where you live. You're not supposed to be involved in the Middle East. You're not supposed to be funding a real estate project in a place you've never been, in Gaza. It's not natural. It's insane. You're just not supposed to do that.
Who feels she's
You're supposed to care about things. You're supposed to know who got murdered 2 blocks away.
So I don't know.
Why did that
I don't know
person
either
get
way,
murdered?
but yeah, she's trans.
You're supposed to know that.
Something.
You're supposed to be interested in the crime in your area. Why? Because you live there. But now that there doesn't exist. It's malls and cupcake ATMs. It's fucking, private equity companies that build, mega structures that look like storage lockers, and you just sit there and get mad all day on the internet, and you don't know your neighbors, and you don't care if they get murdered. In fact, you might want them to. You have no stake in the game. And all of this isn't new,
shit, I guess.
and it's being expedited at a level I've never seen. It has never been more obvious that they are trying to get rid of human beings and human relationships and human communities at an incredibly fast clip. Human behavior puzzles them. Sam Altman doesn't know what humans do. Sam Altman's confused by human behavior. He doesn't get it. He finds it inefficient and messy.
And then use that
as an excuse. It perplexes him. Okay? This is, and allegedly, that guy that worked for him died in a real weird way.
I'll go get him.
Okay? And Sam Altman, when Tucker pressed him about that, acted like I did when my doctor asked me if I went to McDonald's. So let's get real here. These people don't care, and they think human behavior is a problem. Cultural practices that they don't understand. They don't understand people going to church. They don't understand festivals and fairs. They don't understand people having a community where they exchange goods and services in physical locations. They don't understand people that care. Their job is to make you terrified and broke.
And then
they want you on the Citizen app.
Promoting it.
They don't want another person telling you, hear what happened to Bob? They don't want that interaction happening. They want you on the Citizen app all day, hearing about crime that you don't care about because your communities aren't tight-knit communities where people know and care about each other. They're strange corporate hellscapes.
They all want the one ring, Mom.
Part-time residents.
Mom, they all want the one ring.
And they've turned every city in this country into a foreign Dubai like Disney Wonderland where people can launder money.
And only us, simple people.
And then take a bunch of laundered drug money and go buy Labubu smoothies at Erewhon. They don't want anything resembling life. It's obvious they don't want anything resembling human life.
Come on, don't be
You're
greedy.
supposed to just walk around and participate in some viral scam.
She doesn't have orange soda,
That's the only reason you exist to these people. The only reason you exist to Sam Altman is so that he can monitor you in some way and that you can take part, wittingly or unwittingly, in some viral scam that someone's cooked up.
Whoa.
That you can buy some food item or little critter
Supposedly,
or
that's why I was like,
cryptocurrency that someone is hawking. That is the sum total of your humanity. These people want to buy a house. You don't need a house. What a bad investment. What does that word even mean?
Then she came out.
Investment? What are you talking about? You know what's a really good investment? Sitting there with 7 people in your backyard having dinner and talking about life. They don't want it. It's a threat to them. It's actually a big problem.
This one made, but then it like timed out.
So I mean, it's in a tremendous clip.
So
it's
do you want
the
to wait or do you want a
frequency
milkshake?
of which this is happening, how quickly it's happening, everywhere. It's not just any one thing.
Like no, it was like
it's architecture.
It's
business. It's political. It's cultural. But really,
that's right.
At the end of the day, it's all of these things working together to take you out of the world and put you on the internet, where they want you to live. You're a view. You're an anonymous source of data. You're something to be marketed or terrified, but they don't consider you a person with inalienable rights. They don't consider you in any form or reflection of God or a greater intelligence outside of the thing that they're going to create. They consider you an obstacle, and that the way you live is an obstacle to their ultimate goals. That's what they consider you. You are something that's in the way. Your football game and your a couple of beers outside, or you invite people over to your home, your family, your faith, your community, your culture, your all of this to them. And I don't care if it's liberal or conservative. I don't care if you're a fundamentalist Christian. I don't care if you're Jewish, Muslim. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you do the winter solstice. They don't either. Their entire thing is to get rid of physical communities that are based around these things and usher people into a digital landscape by telling them not to own houses, not to drive cars, not to own things, to use ride shares, to be on the internet, to live in a cell, and to be happy. It is what it is. You'll own nothing and be happy. It's a famous article. We all bring it up. But it's true.
It's true.
And what Jimmy Kimmel says at the end of the day doesn't really affect your life in the way that you think it does. He should have a right to say it. He should be criticized for saying it. People should attack him on the facts, not physically. You should attack the facts because they weren't present in what he said. Okay? But there's something bigger going on, and everyone feels it, and it worries me that other people don't. There's something bigger going on all over the country, and it's not about Jimmy Kimmel, and it's not really about left versus right. It's about this inertia that's moving humanity into a perpetual state of constant war, depression, anxiety, anger. I'm not proselytizing. I'm not telling you to do this or do that. I'm not saying to you that you can only find meaning in life one way. I believe there's many ways to find meaning in life. However, it's clearly obvious that the algorithms are manipulating us to hate each other and kill each other while everyone else is building resorts in other places of the world. In Gaza, in Qatar.
In Gaza.
They'll be building them in the Ukraine soon. Watch. And all the while, your life gets worse. You become angry. You lack the ability
to do anything about it whatsoever.
The life your parents did, or their parents did. And all they have to say to you is how lucky you are
to be here.
How lucky you are that you don't live in a place like China. Wow, how lucky you are that you don't live in a place like China, as they make America more like China every hour.
Fresh out of the crate.
Hello, wonderful person, this is Anton, and today we're going to discuss something somewhat intriguing that was recently discovered in one of the oceans right here on planet Earth. A previously unknown massive crater caused by an impact millions of years ago that was massive enough to cause an enormous tsunami, and the effects from which are still observable even today. And because I've always had a very strange fascination with a lot of these impact craters, maybe it's because I was always fascinated with dinosaurs and their extinction was caused by one of these objects. Because of this, I was always super curious about other potential collisions, and especially the effects they might have produced on planet Earth. And so in this video, we're going to discuss some of these new discoveries and exactly what this means, and discuss everything we know about this newly discovered crater. But first, I guess, let's start with the obvious. Based on the size of our planet, and based on what we see on the surface of the moon, technically our planet is supposed to be covered in craters all over the place. And at some point, it may have been, but because of powerful erosion forces, plate tectonics, and a lot of geological activity, pretty much most of these ancient craters eventually got erased. And only some of them are still visible today, whose existence is mostly known because the impacts occurred somewhere on the continental plate, where erasing them would be a little bit more difficult. But because most of the surface of planet Earth is actually water, it would be even more difficult to find signs of craters in the ocean, mostly because over millions of years, they would leave only few clues behind.
I can't
But
remember.
nonetheless, in the past few decades, some of these ancient craters hidden in the oceans have actually been discovered, with at least one of them that we discussed not so long ago, potentially associated with the major climatic shift. For example, right here on the coast of Africa, roughly around 400 kilometers west of Guinea in the Atlantic Ocean, there is something that seems to be 9 kilometers across and something that formed 66 million years ago. And surprisingly, around a very similar time frame as the other impact that killed the dinosaurs, with the impact located in Mexico. And this is known as the Nadir Crater. It seemed to have been formed by a much smaller asteroid, possibly 500 meters across, and it's currently located 300 to 800 meters below the seabed. And so along with the Chicxulub crater, which is obviously much larger at 180 kilometers, here we have evidence for at least 2 major impacts.
So once I put all the work into this game, right,
possibly
to get my stats up, I'll never have to do it again,
then we
correct?
have the evidence for what's known as the Elkann impact. You can learn more about this in
They're gonna remember.
the description, but in essence here in the
Like
Pacific
game
Ocean,
save or
we seem
whatever.
to have a lot of evidence for some kind of a major impact based on
If I
the
ever,
overall
want to play this
anomalies
game again,
and
I don't
signs
have
of
to
some
go
kind of an
all the way
ancient
back
tsunami
all
that
this
affected the
time.
coast nearby. But because there is no crater, there is
Or the
actually very
sequel.
little to know about it. Although it
The
just so
sequel.
happens that when this impact occurred, around the same time, Earth was also experiencing a lot of cooling. And right now, a lot of different theories
I
propose
got
that
suckered there.
This impact potentially kickstarted the ice ages on planet Earth, because it happened around the same time as the first formation of the ice caps in the northern hemisphere. And here this rock was estimated to be about 1 to maybe even 4 kilometers in diameter, but because it hit the ocean where the depth was at least 4 kilometers, it essentially produced no crater, evaporating completely after hitting the surface. But except for these confirmed craters, there are approximately 20 to 30 smaller craters that have been proposed in various studies, but have not really been officially confirmed yet. And so when it comes to confirmed ocean impacts, we really just have like 3 essentially. And that's, I guess, until now, because now we seem to have 4. Based on this new study by Wisdian, Nicholson, and the team you see on the screen, we now have a confirmation about one of these incredibly rare and underwater craters, with this one located beneath the North Sea. And it's now referred to as the Silverpit Crater. Although in this case, this has been actually a hypothesis for at least several decades. So basically here it was assumed to be a crater, but we finally have enough evidence to suggest that this is indeed a crater and not something else. And so where exactly is this? Well, it's actually not so far from the United Kingdom. Roughly around 130 kilometers or 80 miles off the coast of Yorkshire.
Come on, dude, give me a...
Back in 2002, this is actually when the geologists
just happened there? I'm not quite sure.
and we're exploring the North Sea for potential sources. This unusual circular feature actually did have several explanations. And it was obviously very difficult to determine exactly what this is, because it was covered by 700 meters of sediment. But it was pretty large. 3 kilometers or 2 miles across. And so for over 2 decades, scientists were divided about what produced this. Mostly because trying to prove these structures is kind of challenging. And so, for example, one of the more mundane explanations involved some kind of a geological salt, or maybe even volcanism, which was technically the preferred explanation by the Geological Society back in 2009. But this debate was finally settled in 2025 thanks to new high-resolution 3-dimensional seismic images, and of course the analysis of rock samples as well. And so here's how we know that this is an impact crater and not something involving volcanism or moving salt. First of all, this contains a lot of shock minerals. Here, by finding shock lamellae, or microscopic pressure deformations within minerals like quartz and feldspar, researchers had their first hint that this involved something ridiculously powerful. And that's because to produce this, you need to have an atomic rearrangement of the crystalline structure that can only happen in extreme pressures around 10 to 13 gigapascal, which we usually expect from something super powerful like a hypervelocity impact. On Earth, volcanism or salt movement cannot generate these. Then we had the morphology based on 3-dimensional imaging. Here, by using seismic data, researchers identified features consistent with complex impact crater structures, including a central uplift beneath the crater floor and various concentric folds. And there were also secondary craters with individual circular depressions up to 150 meters wide that were surrounding the main object. This is usually formed when the initial impact creates a kind of a splashback with additional rocks then falling back to Earth away from the central impact. And normally on Earth, these features are rarely preserved, mostly due to erosion. And so here the evidence was indeed pretty strong. But based on its depth and based on the analysis of sediment, we can now determine when it potentially happened. And this seems to have happened during the Middle Eocene epoch, roughly around 43 to maybe 46 million years ago, with the impactor very likely being at least 160 meters across, so much smaller than some of the previously discussed impactors, but definitely still large enough to cause a lot of damage. And when it struck the shallow sea, it very likely generated a tsunami at least 100 meters high. This was based on computer simulations that tried to recreate this impact. And based on the recreation, it actually suggests that this impactor very likely struck the planet at a low angle trajectory coming from the west-northwest, very likely creating a massive explosion and a lot of debris headed in the same direction. But there's obviously this one important question that we need to answer. Did this impact do something to the planet, kind of like the Chicxulub impact 66 million years ago, or the more recent Elkann crater that potentially triggered the ice ages? This was during the Eocene optimum, and based on what we know about the climate changes during this time, it's as if there was nothing happening at all, which actually does confirm some of the previous propositions in regards to why dinosaurs went extinct and why the ice ages started to begin with. During both periods, the Earth was already kind of shifting here and there, and it just needed that final trigger to initiate a complete change of climate. Yet during the Eocene optimum, because there were no major shifts, it's quite unlikely that this impact did anything except for causing massive destruction in the North Sea, in the immediate area around the Earth. And so, as of 2025, Silverpit Crater officially joins this somewhat exclusive list. But because we're still learning about what effects these impacts even have on the planet, it's a little bit early to tell or to make any conclusions about any potential influences on our planet. But what we do know for sure is that the Silverpit Crater now joins a very exclusive list. We only have like 190 terrestrial impact craters in total, and only 4 have now been officially confirmed to be underwater. And so with the Niagara crater in Africa, the Chicxulub in Mexico, and the signs from the Elkann impact southwest of South America, we basically now have 4 official impacts that happen somewhere in the ocean. And so since impact craters are so rare on our planet, this is a pretty big discovery. And on top of this, it's also very well preserved. Here, ocean sedimentation happened very quickly, so a lot of these preserved structures under the seabed will eventually help us understand how craters form, but also helping us understand how the interaction with water influences everything as well. And so by studying the results from these past impacts, we can eventually predict what could happen if there was another collision in the future, especially because rocks of very similar sizes technically represent some of the least known and some of the most dangerous objects in the entire solar system. Of all the asteroids out there, objects of very similar size of about 100 to 500 meters basically represent some of the biggest hazards to date. But you can learn more about this concept in one of the previous videos in the description. But I guess, what's next? Well, we still have approximately 30 unconfirmed underwater craters, and so by using this study and based on the discoveries from here, we can now apply the same results and figure out if those other structures are also impact craters, or possibly something else entirely. And so based on the recent success stories from the Silverpit and the Niagara craters, both of which have been confirmed relatively recently, we can now use very similar techniques in a search for these first hidden cosmic scars left by ancient impacts millions of years ago. But in this case, this is also a success story for scientific research, because after decades and decades of a lot of back and forth, and also a lot of debates and a lot of propositions, we can now definitively say that this was indeed an impact crater caused by an asteroid and not a volcano, with all of the evidence from this particular study basically being enough to prove everything. But I guess now it will be interesting to find out if someone can actually discover something in regards to various changes during this period, in order to find out if there was maybe any effect on the planet at all. And so until we discover something else, that's pretty much all I wanted to mention. Check out previous videos about other impact craters in the description below. Thank you for watching, subscribe, come back tomorrow to learn something else, support the channel on Patreon where you can find additional videos without any ads and turn DM directly, or by joining channel membership that grants you early access. Alternatively, you can also support the channel by buying the Wonderful Person t-shirt in the description below. Stay wonderful, I'll see you tomorrow, and as always, bye-bye.
Don't tell me how you really feel.
I did.
You did.
I did.
You did. Okay.
I just did it.
You totally.
I just told you.
Totally.
YouTube TV.
Oof. Wow. Okay. I gotta find a way to mute the mic.
Is there a way?
I don't know. I mean, yes. It actually put some effort in, maybe, to it, you know.
What's poppin', CJ? I'm here. What's
On
up?
the way up, man, with regular clients like
Like
you,
you gone
dog.
there and driven into you with. I'm trying to work, Square.
Deal with that motherfucker. That's going in my retirement fund.
Yo, you blind?
So this is it. This is when we show the ballers what banging is all about.
that's right.
Grove Street is king. Say it with me, niggas. Grove Street is king.
Grove Street is king.
What's up, CJ? Where you been?
Hey, sorry, bro, I got caught up.
Yeah, you probably was hitting one of them baller rats. Yeah, I know what you was up to, nigga.
Yeah, you know it.
Listen up. Y'all down with CJ, right?
Yeah, sure.
He's been through a lot. I mean, we all been through a lot. But CJ's helping us clean up the hood. He's taking the fight to the enemy.
Yeah.
Showing all of us how he used to bang.
Yeah.
What it used to mean to be a Grove Street family.
Yeah.
CJ, you my brother. My running dog. I should have never doubted you.
It's nothing.
But you're home now, partner.
That's right.
Home.
For sure.
Listen up. I want all y'all to go get heated and meet me downtown under the Mulholland intersection. We gonna roll on these baller motherfuckers.
All right.
I see y'all in traffic.
Yeah, let's roll.
Yeah, for sure. You in?
Hell yeah, I'm in. I'm your running dog, sweet.
Yeah, my nigga. All right, you go get heated up, and I'll meet you at the crossroads.
Hey,
Hey, CJ, it's Caesar, man.
I'm kind of busy now. Something big going down.
Essie, I gotta see you, Holmes. Tell you something.
Look, if it's about Kendall, don't worry. We cool, all right?
No, Caesar, you gotta come and see something. Something important, eh?
Well, it's gonna have to wait.
This can't wait, Holmes. If I tell you, you won't believe it, Essie, I swear.
Okay. I got about 5, so it better be good. Where you at?
I'm under the freeway, north side of Verdant Plus.
In 1 minute, I think. Hold on, we'll try. I'll try to see if I can mute the mic. I'm getting flashbacks here. Ah.
Get the hell on, man.
So you dragged me way across town to see what?
Just in time, ese. Take a good hard look over there.
So, some ballers hanging around a dope spot. So what?
Just watch, homie.
What the fuck? Oh, no. Shit, Smoke, what you into?
Shh, that's it. Look at that ride.
That's the motherfucking green Saber. Shit, Smoke. Crash making you sell us out? Moms!
Sorry, Issy. I heard a rumor and poked around. I didn't believe it myself, but...
Nah, you did the right thing. I owe you, C's. I gotta go tell Sweet about... Oh, fuck! Sweet! Look, go get Kendall and take her to a safe place.
What you thinking?
It's Sweet. I think him and the homies is walking into a trap. Just go. Go! I gotta warn Sweet. Damn it, Sweet. Pick up. Pick up.
Hey, what's up? You call me, but I ain't pick it up. So leave a message after the...
Shit. Caesar called, showed me some shit. It's Smoke, and he in deep with 10 and some ballin'. He sold us out.
It doesn't matter, man. We gotta get out of here. The guy's gonna arrive any second.
Nah, man, I ain't running out on my brother. Yo, boss, I'm taking you, motherfucker. You hear me? I'm taking you all down, bitches. Give me your whip, fool.
Deep. The party doesn't stop until everyone's pregnant.
Bounce.
Get on the party ship.
Funk on.
Bounce! I'm not saying please. I'm saying you better understand where I come from. There's only one religion, the funk, and only one language, the funk, and only one hairstyle, the funk. All...
Talking to you. Excuse me. Hey, that's really perceptive stuff. You know, we've been petitioning state to install a urinal trough in front of each row of seats. Now, it's so inconvenient having to leave your seat and make everyone stand up, you know, to let you by, then go stand in line for the bathroom. I mean, half the time you can barely walk anyway, all right? So we'll be handing out petitions that say support the team. Don't leave the game pee at your seat. Going to the phone.
I'm a big fight fan. Love a bit of a punch-up. Since my wife and children are taken into a shelter, my friend says, Chuck, you obviously love a hitting thing. So I've gotten into boxing. How about that fight between Gonzalez and Jackson?
Well, there's one thing about boxing I always remember. You know, one man wins.
Is a concert. I don't like Ticketmaster. You all know that. By extension, Live Nation, because Live Nation owns Ticketmaster. It's a huge, messy web that I've clowned on and insulted numerous times now. And I feel like everyone probably shares that same sentiment. I believe in every human being's soul there is a spot reserved purely for their hatred of Ticketmaster to reside. I'm sure everyone has their own experiences and horror stories here. It is just an absolute dogshit business model that is becoming worse and worse all the time. And it's run by this! Bear witness! Worm person! This is Michael Rapino, more like Michael Rapinor, because this man is just a giant fucking wiener. He is the CEO of Live Nation, Ticketmaster, and recently, this is why I'm making this video, he went on to say, he had the goal to claim, ticket prices are actually underpriced.
Yeah, I mean, I think music has been underappreciated. You know, I always joke, sports, it's like a badge of honor to spend 70 grand for a Knicks courtside. They beat me up if we charge $800 for Beyonce, right? So it's a real. It's a very we have a lot of runway left, right? So when you read about the ticket prices going up, it's still average concert price is $72. Try going to a Laker game for that, and there's 80 of them or whatever the hell. So the concert is underpriced, has been for a long time.
If that isn't the biggest load of fish paste, what in tarnation, brother? Holy moly. There's so much to insult with this statement, like I don't even know where to begin. If you have been to any concerts or shows over the last, let's say, 10 years, you've probably noticed a trend where it's getting more and more and more and more expensive. The biggest complaint you will see anytime there is a concert is people talking about how they're priced out from attending it. Even the biggest fans can oftentimes not afford to go to it, or maybe they can only get like the nosebleeds or something, which isn't usually even worth the price you pay for that, because also that is often expensive too. And they get away with this because they have fundamentally a monopoly when it comes to live performances, live shows like this. And there's always the huge issue with scalping, which almost seems encouraged by Ticketmaster, at least historically it used to. I don't know if it's as bad as it once was. I haven't noticed it to the degree I did a few years ago, so maybe they started to fucking put the nipple clamps on it and twist to try and stop that a bit. But since they do still have this monopoly, they still have, of course, like fees and also just an exorbitant price tag on attending these shows. Because they can. You don't have like an alternative to get the tickets or anything. And I hate that comparison he makes where he's like, oh yeah, some people will pay like 70 grand as like a badge of honor to sit courtside, comparing it to like a big sporting event where people shell out tons of clams. Brother, you're just blowing from Stupid Town. How in any way, shape, or form does that even remotely associate with these prices for a concert? It's so night and day, I don't even think it's worth digging into like the actual meat and potatoes of the statement. It's just a false equivalence. And he tries to use it as a way to justify that there is still so much room to charge more for their tickets. And I think that is just sickening. So, I've been to 2 shows recently. I went to a Deftones concert a couple months ago. Unfortunately, I did somewhat brown my trousers a bit there. There's a couple tiddlywinks of fecal matter, which I made a video talking about it. It was pretty embarrassing, pretty shameful. Fucking shit myself a little bit as a 30-year-old man. Not that I blame Michael Rapino for that. I know he didn't put poop in my butt. That's on me. That was my responsibility. Like, I get it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm getting a little sidetracked. I'm starting to like pseudo-trauma dump on you here for no reason. Deftones concert was amazing. And then recently I saw a My Chemical Romance show here in Tampa. Also amazing. But you know what both of these had in common besides being extremely entertaining? Extremely expensive. And Ticketmaster gets to basically charge the moon for it if they want to. And they do want to, make no mistake. And it looks like they want to charge even more for it. They want the fucking whole kit and caboodle here. They want your entire piggy bank just to see your favorite artist perform once. And I understand concerts aren't like a necessity. No one needs to buy tickets to a concert. But you can see this trend that when Ticketmaster, Live Nation kind of took over and got this like monopoly, they have been jacking up prices non-stop, and it's just spiraling out of control where it prices out tons and tons of normal people that no longer can afford to go see their favorite artist perform because they'd have to decide between spending the money for a couple of tickets to that event or like you could also just spend that money on like a fucking week-long vacation in a lot of cases because it is that fucking expensive. So it's just, I also think it's bad for the artist too, because then you're not performing to as many occupied seats. You're not performing to as many actual fans anymore. Like, I just think the whole model sucks now. And you can see a huge change when Ticketmaster Live Nation took over. Tickets were far more affordable, and I get everything's gotten more expensive. I understand that. But in this sector specifically, this monopoly has been extremely awful for fans and artists as well. It is only good for Ticketmaster. And the CEO's out here like, well, actually, it's like super reasonably priced. In fact, it is underpriced. I need to be making more money. Meanwhile, last year he took home like $32 million like himself in total compensation. Like, I wonder why he thinks it's underpriced and why they should be charging more. What's the incentive there? Man, that's so interesting. I wonder why he would have that perspective. Any sensible, sane person will tell you the same thing. Ticket prices suck. And Ticketmaster super fucking sucks. So I definitely don't agree with Michael Rapinoe's assessment here that there's a lot of runway for more ticket price increases. He says that people beat him up for charging $800 to Beyonce. Well, what he doesn't mention there is that $800 to see Beyonce is to see her through like a fucking glory hole on the 39th floor of the stadium she performs at. Like, you do not get good value even when you do spend a lot of money going to these concerts because everything is so fucking expensive. So I think his take on this is complete trash. Complete trash. But he does say something during this event that I think is an important thing to mention in regards to how important shows are to the artists.
Well, the live show is, become, the artist is going to make 98% of their money from the show. The record label, all the other ways they made money is irrelevant now. The show is where they're making their money.
Now, in this section, he is actually correct. He did pin the tail on the donkey here. Record labels take the lion's share of what an artist makes, or what a band, group, whatever makes. I have heard some, what I believe to be, or should be, criminal contracts in the record industry where they will take sometimes like 90% of like streaming revenue, record sales, merch sales, that kind of thing. And thus the band needs to survive off just tours alone because that's where they make their actual money. The record label makes the rest through them on other things. They only see like a small percentage of it. It's fucking terrible. The music industry itself is so unbelievably corrupt. Ticketmaster is just a small component of that. But he is right. The actual shows, that is the most important part to the money that an artist brings in. Which I believe is also contributing to the increase in ticket prices. Not always solely Ticketmaster, but there are cases where groups or artists have knowingly increased their prices as well and like even agreed to like the surge pricing type shit, the like dynamic pricing model. Because the streaming revenue, record sales, merch sales, all of that stuff, the record label has got its filthy fucking paws in a big way. Thus, they need the tours to, bring in their actual chunk of change. Again, the system itself in the music industry is super fucked. Also, streaming revenue is not a ton for music. I feel like most of you have probably heard artists talking about how much like a song of theirs makes through like Spotify or something, and it's not overly incredible from the numbers I've been made aware of, and I guess from my own personal experience, I'm in a band, The Gentlemen. We are working on more music. Across our 2 albums, we maybe have like 100 million streams across all the songs, and we even did do like physical sales. And in total, I believe what we've brought in over the last 6 years is like 120, 140K, somewhere in that general ballpark. So you divide that between 2 people over the course of 6 years, it's not, the biggest bag of money you'll ever see in your life. You know, you're not talking Scrooge McDuck levels of wealth coming from, like, music streaming sales. At least not until you're in, like, the, I guess, hundreds of millions as opposed to just, like, the 100 million club. Again, I can only speak from my own personal experience and at least the other numbers I've become aware of and what artists have made from those. And we've never toured or anything. If we did, that would probably be where the bulk of the money would come from, because there's not a ton of people buying physical albums anymore. And streaming revenue through listening, through like just song streams, isn't like incredible per stream either. So he is right that these shows, these events, are extremely important for like the artist making their money, but his view of it is so distorted, where he thinks that because this is like the main revenue driver for a lot of artists, they need to be charging an arm and a leg for it, where it like prices out tons of people too. Like, it's very counterintuitive. There is no need for the prices to go as fucking Insano style as they have because of Ticketmaster's involvement. It's just completely unacceptable, and it is just point blank way too expensive. Ask anyone who's gone to a concert recently. It is just too expensive. And he is just entirely wrong by saying that it's underpriced. It's not. I really think the Live Nation Ticketmaster merger was just the worst fucking thing that happened to, like, live shows in general. That should have been slapped down. And the fact that that was allowed to go through has just been disastrous. I can't fucking stand Michael Rapino. I hate Ticketmaster. Shit sucks. Just wanted to yap about it a little bit, because somehow he felt so confident to just let this absolute trash take fly like that about being underpriced. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.
Oh my goodness. Can you guys believe it? New Black Ops 7 multiplayer gameplay reveal trailer. Processing emotions. I am so thoroughly excited for this Call of Duty game. You can't even see the life being sucked out of my eyes right now. I don't care about Black Ops 7. I'm gonna be straight honest. We do not care. By the way, if you're into this game or what it's showing and presenting and you're gonna buy it and eat it up, that's great. At the end of the day, you're allowed to like whatever video games you like. And I'm here to express my opinion. I'm so brave. So yeah, they came out with this gameplay reveal trailer, and, well, wouldn't you know, it seems like it's going over as anticipated. Let's watch it and see if there's anything interesting about this game. Anything new. I'm gonna give it another chance, because I'll be honest, right now, I don't even know if I'm gonna review this. That's kind of where I'm at. Alright, Treyarch, this is your last chance, alright? What do you got for me? Actual in-game footage. Wow. No way. Already, this looks like a map from COD World War II. Honestly, it looks just like it. I can't point to Hawk or something. I'll find it, and then I'll point it out. But already, I feel like I've seen this map. Keep in mind, as they show footage, what I'm looking for is, does the map layout look like Infinite Warfare, Black Ops 3? Does it look like that basic 2-story maximum, very basic sightlines, 3-lane map design? And that's what I keep seeing from all of this multiplayer footage. Just saying. Nice American flag in the background, though. Very patriotic. Oh, a hologram? That's a little cool. That's a little cool, even if it is just from Reach. But it's like, this little directional jump, they acted like this was such a big deal in the previous reveal trailer, and it's like, dog, you could do this in Titanfall 2. Like, Call of Duty, Black Ops 7 is still not going to fully commit to advanced movement. The same problems that existed with the other futuristic games are gonna exist here. It just looks like half-assed enhanced mobility. So now you can put a grenade on him. Again, like multiplayer reveal, you kind of want to be showing off stuff that's new, exciting, interesting. Yes, guns. Are we going to be able to shoot things? No way. Prestige attachment, counter force C1. Yeah, yep, that looks like a assault rifle. Okay, what I'm noticing is that there is a little bit of height. I'm betting you can't run on the glass. There's no way they're going to allow you to go up that high on the map. I would be surprised if they allowed that. But this little piece in the middle is kind of spinning slowly around. It's moving. Kind of, it's something. Yeah, see, layout is very basic, very flat, not much geometry. All flat. There's one thing in the middle there. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? It's like in older maps, I just felt like there was all this stuff everywhere. Once again, I feel like I've seen all of these same maps before. And maybe that's a problem with me just playing too much Call of Duty. Maybe it's a problem with you because you watched my Call of Duties and you made that content popular. You know what? My audience is to blame for the state of this franchise. My audience is to blame for the videos I make. This is all your fault. Two pistols? No way. Did he say fuck my life? Yeah, you said fuck my life. Why would you say it so quietly, though? Yeah, got the RCXD, of course. Yeah, a shotgun with fire rounds. Yeah. I will say, this robot dog does look similar to the ones I've seen clips for, but it also probably just looks like the robot dogs from Black Ops 2. Not seeing anything interesting yet, like I'm struggling to come up with positive things to say. Oh, okay, let's look at this. If you could get up here and drop down and run across, that might be kind of cool, or if you can get in there and that's part of the level design. I doubt it, but this looks a little bit more interesting and dynamic. So there's that. Only 2 stories, though, on the left here. Only 2 stories. Can't go higher than that. Yeah, a cluster grenade. You see what I mean? Like, what am I supposed to say? A cluster grenade? I don't know. Maybe they're just doing a really bad job promoting this game where they don't have anything new to show off. I mean, the background of this looks pretty cool, like a solar power energy plant. That's kind of cool. It does look like something from COD World War II, though. I don't know if I'm just imagining this. I think the background does look kind of... No, it actually kind of looks like shit. It looks like a blurry nothing. That looks a bit better, I suppose. Yeah, see, it looks just like a kill streak from Advanced Warfare or Black Ops 3 or Infinite Warfare or whatever it was. I think it was Advanced Warfare. Overclock gear. The dog score streak? New dog models confirmed. Holy shit, the meme is still alive. We got new dog we got new dog schematics right there. Our new dog model is... Those are dog schematics. And it can go into sentry mode? Wow. Okay, alright. I've completely changed my mind. No. Black Ops 7 gonna be a fucking masterpiece now. Can I... Where's the Vault Edition? Can I buy this?
Get the Reznov Challenge Pack.
Share your weapon build. Is that, like, you know what I mean? Is that what we're showing off? Like, the ability to share weapon builds? First off, I feel like you should have been able to do that before. And second, you know, YouTube still exists. You can watch weapon builds on there and then, you know, make it like that or look up a guide. It's like, sure, this is cool, but this is like gameplay reveal trailer stuff. Like, you're trying to get me hyped. What's the coolest shit you can put in a 2.5 minute runtime?
Our new dog model.
Hold on, isn't there going to be like a ground war mode or something that's like 12v12? If so, that might salvage this somewhat. Kind of like how Modern Warfare 2 2022, I really liked the ground war mode in that, and that's what I played predominantly. So if there's going to be a saving grace, that might be it, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I have not seen vehicles, so... Who chose this music, too?
I like it.
Oh, come on. That music sounds like shit.
Not a fan. Once again, this I feel like I'm seeing things. I've played too much Call of Duty. This looks like a map from Black Ops 4. It all looks the same, man. It all looks the same. My brain's melting.
I sure am craving some Mr. Whoopi. Focus on the future, never on right now.
Jeez.
Pre-order now and get early access to the open beta.
No, I don't think I will. Don't think I will. I might get a free early code, but yeah, it's just... I might stream on the second. I might play it, say fuck it. Maybe we can all just experience it together. I don't know. I don't want to. Nothing. I feel nothing.
As to the open beta.
18 maps at launch. Okay, that sounds good. That sounds good. I think those bottom 3 are remakes. Now, what I saw of these maps that they showed in this trailer was not all that impressive, but, I mean, there's a good variety of them, so that's... Shit, that's actually something good you can say. 18 maps is a solid offering at launch. Modern Warfare 2 was 16. Okay, so that's all right. You have 1 point. Let's check the comments. Yeah, I think I gotta that.
Playing that,
the future of multiplayer content, the future of it, next level Omni movement. Omni movement looked the same. Weapon build sharing and weapon prestige. They got nothing. Can't wait for Lilo and Stitch hitting emotes and using wall hacks right.
My daughter always wants to go.
The most heroic thing about this reveal is leaving the comments section on. I bought this game 12 years ago. That's what I'm saying. I bought it 8 years ago. I bought it 10 years ago. I bought it 12 years ago, 6 years ago. I bought it last year. I bought this game last... Actual gameplay footage killed me. Like, the gameplay was going to be so insane that we wouldn't believe our eyes. I mean, I would assume in a gameplay reveal trailer that you're going to show actual gameplay. Having Fane as the song shows exactly the age demographic COD is for now. See, yeah, it's not for me anymore. I didn't know that song. I didn't like it. TikTok generation ad trailer. Yeah. They've turned to brain rot. Brain rot's super popular right now. Subject myself to more brain rot. Okay, so I'd give that like a 2 or a 3 out of 10. Like, it felt virtually nothing. If you're bragging about weapon build sharing, like, you probably don't have much else in the chamber ready to rock and roll, or at least no other ideas. Otherwise, you would have shown that to us. You know what I mean? They're phoning it in even more than I think they ever have this. With that being said, is there anything else that they've been promoting that's interesting, that's going to draw me in? Well, let's find out. Black Ops 7 multiplayer deep dive and new beta details. Gain complete tactical knowledge on everything. Okay, so there's 2 20v20 skirmish maps. Why wouldn't they just call it ground war? They didn't show off any vehicles, so it's probably not going to feel like ground war. It's not going to be as big as that. But only having 2 maps for this mode is kind of crazy. Like, that's a very bad ratio in my opinion. New mode, Overload. Okay. Oh, a new mode? Overload. Squads clash over one device that must be carried into enemy territory to score. Momentum swings sharply as the device changes hands, making every pickup, player escort, and interception a pivotal moment in this all-new 6v6 mode. So you have a new 6v6 mode and you just didn't show it? Why? What? By the way, this just sounds like, I don't know, Demolition. Again, nothing new, nothing fresh. Yeah, it's gonna deliver team deathmatch, domination, search and destroy, hardpoint. Yep, we got 1 new mode. That's it. Best I can do. Nothing new. Yeah, if it's just TDM, domination, and kill confirmed and hardpoint, like, I might not even play the beta. I'm trying to experience new things in my life at this point. You know what I mean? For larger scale multiplayer battles, nothing beats a good skirmish. I'd say at least right now, nothing is beating Battlefield 6. The only thing that could beat Battlefield 6 is itself. They do have wingsuits, grappling hooks, and vehicles. Why didn't you show any of that in the trailer? The game might be better than how they're portraying it. Because, like, why didn't you show this stuff? That sounds more interesting. Black Ops 7 launches with 16 core maps, designed for tactical intensity across a wide variety of locations. Built around Treyarch's signature 3-lane philosophy.
I just can't do it. I can't take this shit no more, man.
Dear God, I told you. The same dog shit that they've been doing for like 10 years. I'm so done with it. I like how that's their signature map design now. It's just 3 lanes. God, that sucks. 20v20 introduces Hightown and Military Island. They couldn't even give the island a name. It's just, yeah, there's military on there, I guess. Fuck you. The 2035 setting imagines near future possibilities while remaining grounded in the Black Ops universe. Each map is designed for fast gunplay and around the original 3-lane design Treyarch is famous for. Are they famous for that? I feel like at this point I'm just a doll with a string in the back. And every time you pull it, it's just 3-lane maps suck. I hope they make better maps that are more interesting, dynamic, and unique. Who honestly out there is a Call of Duty fan, even if you're watching this, who's like, oh, fuck yeah, 3-lane maps? Oh, dude, oh, that's the Treyarch specialty. They've been cooking up the classic recipe. All the good sauces, and this. I'm tired of this meal. I'm tired of it. I suppose it's cool that they're showing off screenshots of every map. Yeah, it looks basic as fuck. And of course, they got the bottomless pit that forces you to wall run and engage with the mechanic in the most superfluous, basic way possible. Yep, that's what it looks like. God, I feel like such a cynical asshole. I mean, this looks kind of cool. A little structure built inside a cave. I like the idea of these locations, but once again, look at how flat, and look at the height. Not much going on here. Not much going on. Exposure. Yeah, I'm willing to bet all of this outside is that's going to be one giant kill barrier. Come back to this video and let me know if I was right once the beta or the game comes out. Again, visually kind of cool, but yeah, nothing. Same thing. Very basic. Okay, future Japan. Again, visually, I feel like they have good artists. But what is this? Every single map is like, oh yeah, there's a tank and some boxes. And that's all the cover. That's all we could put on the map to make it, to add to its geometry. Yeah, just some boxes. Just, I don't know. What am I supposed to put there? All I got is boxes. Yep, more boxes. Box assets are huge right now. Oh, look, we got some rocks. I feel like most Call of Duty maps that have like log cabins are always the fun maps. Express was good. Express was good. A lot of that had to do with the train and the sort of really cool separation. But also the 3 lanes on this map were curved to the left. It wasn't just like a rectangle or a box.
Go home and look at
the 3 lanes just go left, middle, right. It's like they all curved into each other. So that was a cool spin on the 3-lane formula. And the middle lane was populated by a train that ran through. That could kill you, that could block off the path, a train that you could run through and come out the other end. Hijacked was also kind of cool because you had like 3 or 4 stories. You had below deck, you had 2 sides, you had through the middle, you had middle top. These are good maps. Do I need to look at any of this? Really? Looks like Call of Duty. Could be cool. New loadout feature, overclocked. So the idea of being able to customize your lethal and tactical equipment, field upgrades, and all that stuff, that's interesting to me. It's a matter of, will they add compelling choices?
Okay, I've never seen that before.
Benefits, and is it actually going to impact anything? Or is it just going to be some small, minute change? Pistols and launchers as secondaries, yep, all stuff seen before. I don't think I need to really go over anything else. I don't know, this is a lot of shit to read through, and I don't really plan on playing the game much at all, so... Can Call of Duty appeal to both Gen Z and Millennials/Gen X? No. Nope. I think that time has passed, so, you know, as a millennial, I'm probably just gonna go back and play, like, COD 4. Or you know what I want to do?
It's weird to hear
what I actually want to do
talking about
is
being
review
old.
the first 4 COD games, because I haven't done that before. Maybe Big Red 1, United
I
Offensive,
thought
kind
you
of
guys
those
were still like in fucking high school,
they had.
dude.
I feel like I would
Like,
be
I
way
didn't
more
even know what
interested in doing
millennials
that
are. I
than
thought
making a video on Black Ops 7.
And then they like try to say my first kid's not a millennial.
I mean, I care a little bit, but...
Yeah.
Bright colors,
Millennials
space
were
age,
born in
future
2000.
tech,
I was
and
like,
awful
no, they
Travis Scott
graduated
mumble rap.
around 2000.
Call of Duty wants me to know I'm too old for Black Ops 7, seemingly.
That's what I thought.
Jez
Like,
Corden,
they grew up around the they were
well
millennials.
described, good sir.
It wasn't that you were
this past week
born.
about how AAA publishers are making me feel old. Nothing underpinned that like today's Call of Duty
But
Black
I
Ops
could
7
be-
multiplayer
but yeah,
trailer.
anyways,
Bright,
it's
flashy
weird to
colors,
hear
vertical
about 30-year-olds.
traversal, high-tech gadgets, and that awful Travis
But we did
Scott
the same
mumble rap
thing.
that the WWE has burned onto my cerebellum. Black Ops 7's multiplayer reveal trailer reminded me that I am no longer the target audience for Call of Duty. That's fine by me.
That's fine by me.
I have
Gen
Battlefield
X
6
is
to look forward
becoming
to.
the new
this year.
silent
My thoughts
generation, I
exactly.
guess.
There's way too many good games I want to play besides Black Ops
really?
7.
Well,
Here's
between
Tom
the kids
Henderson,
being
notable
online and really
Battlefield
loud,
leaker, who says Black Ops
or
7 will be the first
trans,
game in
or
20
you know,
years
like
that I
real
won't buy a COD on release.
controversial,
I know it's probably because I'm getting
versus,
older, but nothing from this
and then
trailer
our
is
parents,
remotely
the
interesting.
boomers,
That's what I've been saying,
who are
man.
big
It's
and
got
have a big
nothing. It's
impact
like it's not
culturally and all
even
that.
all
We're kinda
style,
getting
no
drowned out
substance.
between
It's
those two.
no style, no
Like, we're not as
substance,
big
no
as the
grace.
boomers. We
It
don't have
has
as
a
much
funny
money
face,
or
and
impact
that's it.
on this
And
culture.
that's fine with me
But
too.
then we're
Like,
not
if
as
you're part of that
radical
younger
and
audience
crazy
and you're still gonna buy it and play it,
as
more
the
power to you. I
younger
got a couple
kids.
buddies of mine who are like
wanna be
hardcore
sweet,
Call
right?
of Duty. Like
Getting
some of them will hit
Yeah.
max prestige every year, and even those guys are like, yeah, I don't give
And
a
then
shit.
don't give a
I even
fuck,
feel like
'cause,
this
yeah,
video
that's
was
the whole point
apathetic.
of being
Like,
Gen
wasn't even
Z.
that good of a video,
We're done.
probably. You make up your mind.
Gen X
but
is over
at the end
it,
of the
dude.
day,
Gen X
like,
has
I
been
just
over it. That was
this
the
is all
whole
I had
point.
to
Yeah,
say
I
about.
was there at the year 2000. We're all over it. We've
Not
been
enough
over
horny
it.
men around this part of town.
Yeah.
We thought everybody was over it. That's what we thought. But apparently not. Apparently we're still gonna do
Black
the
Ops
whole
7,
like
this is all I have to say.
go
Like, if I
let
don't see a
sharks eat
point
us
in
in the
talking
middle
about
of
it
fucking-
further or playing it or streaming
Oh,
it,
shit, you
I'll
know,
probably
no,
just
like,
focus
whoop,
on something
wonder
else.
what-
Like, how funny would it be if
Right.
Black
I
Ops
guess we're not
7's beta comes out and I just stream, like, the first Call of Duty or something? I just play that. I should play things I enjoy. I suppose you could make the argument, well, you're not gonna know unless you try it, but it's like, I've played this series a lot. I know what I want from it. I know what I enjoy about it. And what I'm seeing, again, that's like the best slice of the game that they could provide and show off. And clearly I'm not the only one who's like, yeah, no, I don't care.
I know it helps better. Come on, there's a lot of text in that game. Your glasses are right there. You got a pair.
Smoke 'cause it gives me a peace of mind.
Everything. Why does it feel like everything's getting worse? I gotta play Expedition 33. Alright. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to The Act Man for more awesome content. Alright, everyone, that's all I got for today. This is The Act Man, signing out. Peace!
So let's summarize.
Looking to get beat down, chump.
What you need tonight, honey?
What's happening, man? I passed my malt liquor, homie.
What we've learned today.
This
Okay,
shit
let's look at
better
the signs of Western decline.
Hey, I'm like, don't I know you, baby, or something? I'll see you a couple more times.
I do a lot of wild shit.
Look,
What
hey,
up?
CJ.
We got higher property prices. This is happening throughout the Western world. Inflation and lower quality of life.
You about half an hour, I guess.
Higher stock market valuations. Which
What up, dog? Oh, good looking, homie. I'm a rusty brown donut eating gangster. Let me get a swig, family. What's up with you?
which means
Hey, dog, what's up?
greater inequality. Less real economic growth, less and less people are doing real jobs. Euthanasia for the poor. Just killing
Yeah, take it to the head.
This better be better than the last time.
off the poor people. Mass immigration, population replacement. Lower birth rate. Greater public and private debt, bureaucratic gaslighting. The government no longer acknowledges problems, it just lies to you directly. And privatization, asset stripping, okay? So all this is happening in the Western world. The question now is, why would this happen? And there are different theories, okay? And we'll go over some of the major theories. There's lots and lots of theories. We'll go over the major ones. And there's going to be overlap between these theories. And some of these theories make a lot of sense. Okay, so one major theory is the idea of neoliberalism. The idea of neoliberalism is the belief that all that matters in society, all that matters in life is economic growth. If your society can generate more economic growth, all problems will be solved.
Hey, what's going on?
So,
He speaks
hey,
our
man.
language pretty well.
What's cracking, fool? If Monique's find out about police,
Okay? So if your economy runs really fast, then everyone will be happy. That's the idea of neoliberalism. Then you have techno-feudalism, which is the idea that some big corporations, usually these tech companies, they want to control the world.
Good.
And so they want to turn everyone into slaves. And if you don't have a house, you don't have your own property, then you can be controlled by these companies. Okay, techno-feudalism. World government, where the United Nations has this conspiracy to control the entire world, to destroy national sovereignty and create a world unified government. Okay, population replacement theory. And the idea here is that the problem for governments in the Western world is that white people are opinionated. They believe in democracy. They believe in freedom. And they're hard to control. So let's replace the white people with Chinese and Indians and Filipinos, because Asian people are more obedient.
Caucasians just can't catch a break.
That's the idea.
Heterosexual male Caucasians just
these are just theories. I'm
catch
not
a
saying they're
break.
right or wrong.
Yeah, we do need to
And we'll
fix that.
go
You're right.
into these theories later on this semester. Now, the last reason is bureaucratic incompetence. The government is.
He saves the whole story, doesn't he? Doesn't Christoph save everybody by kissing what's her name? Anna.
Stupid. Okay. Now, there's no overlap
no one even
among these
remembers
theories,
his
and there's some validity to all these theories.
Ouch,
but what I want to show you is that there's actually a much better way to analyze this. Whenever you have a problem, you always ask yourself, who benefits? Who is benefiting from this, right? So when we're talking about housing prices, well, clearly property owners are benefiting from this, right? So if we took all the groups, okay, and there's millions of different groups in society, and we just analyze who benefits from all these trends that we discussed. The answer you would get is rich pensioners. These are the people who benefit the most from these trends. And therefore, we can suspect that they're the ones behind these trends, okay? So let's go over them. Property prices make sense, right? Because they're old, they have houses. They probably have 2 or 3 houses. So they want to see the property prices go up.
Yep.
Higher stock market valuations make sense because they own the most stocks. Euthanasia for the poor makes sense because they want good medical care. If poor people are standing in line, that's a problem for them, right? So just kill the poor people and they'll have better access to healthcare. Right? If that frees up the healthcare system, mass immigration means cheap labor. If they're old, they're 70 or 80 years old, they need gardeners, they need cooks.
Yep.
They need nurses. Right? Immigrants. Do you guys want to be gardeners and cooks and laborers? You don't want to be, so we have to bring in immigrants. And everything else, okay? Inflation, economic growth, lower birth rate, gaslighting, it doesn't really affect them. Doesn't make sense. So all these trends, some of them are really good for these pensioners, and the rest doesn't really affect the pensioners. And that's why we can assume, for analysis, that's the rich pensioners who are most responsible
I'm kind of busy
for
now,
what's going on.
big going down.
Does it make sense to you guys?
Look, if it's
All right.
about Kendall,
So,
don't worry. We cool,
how do we understand this? Well, the problem that we're facing is never in human history have we had so many old rich people before. Okay? And you can see these trends where in the year 1900, people who are 75 and older were just a small fraction of society. But you can see how fast they're growing. Okay? Over 60 years old, really growing really fast. There's a problem because if they keep on living, they accumulate more and more resources, which creates a lot more inequality. Now, I'm not saying that all old people are rich. In fact, that's not the case. If you just look at statistics, you will find that wealth is pretty much evenly distributed among demographics, okay? So there are young
So,
people
some
with a lot of
ballers
money,
hanging
but there are
around
more
a
old
dope
people
spot.
with money.
So what?
Okay? So there are
Just
lots
watch.
and lots of old people, the purple are old people who are poor.
Oh,
I'm not saying that old people are the problem, I'm saying that old rich people are the
Look
problem.
at that ride.
That's
They're
the
a problem
motherfucking
because they
green
want their
saint.
pensions. The pension systems in all societies made assumptions about old people. The major assumption that they made is that old people would die, right?
Crash making
So,
you
for example, in
sick.
Canada, when they first created the pension system, the retirement age was 65,
Sorry,
and they
is it?
expected people to
I heard
die
a
when they're
woman poked
72.
around.
So you have
I
5
didn't
to
believe
7
myself,
years of a
but-
good pension, okay?
Nah.
Guess what,
you
guys?
did the right thing.
They're not dying, right?
I owe you,
and that creates a
C's.
huge problem
I gotta
with
go
your
tell
pension
Sweet
plan.
about.
And you can see how these liabilities
Oh, fuck.
are going up over
Sweet.
time.
Look, go get Kendall and
These are teachers, and as you can see, the liabilities are going way up. Why is this happening? It's happening because it's something called assumption changes, okay? So 2 assumptions are being made. First is that old people will die. Well, they're not dying. The other assumption is that if you put money in the stock market, it will year by year improve, right?
Damn it, Sweet.
The problem is that there's volatility in the stock market. It goes up and goes down.
Hey, what's up? You called me, but I ain't
And
picked
the
it up.
smart people
So leave a message
make
after.
money
shit.
off dumb people. Guess what, guys? Okay, I'm gonna ask you a question. In finance, where do the dumbest people work? You guys know? In finance, the dumbest people work where? They work in pension funds.
Look where you going.
Why? Because it's a boring job. You just sit there and do nothing all day. So these pension funds are constantly getting ripped off from investment banks where the smart people are. Okay, so if you look at all investment vehicles, pension funds have lost the most money. And this has created huge issues within government pension funds throughout the world. Okay, so as you can see, there's volatility in returns in the pension fund. Okay, when you put the money in, the returns will differ year by year, and that screws up your model.
CJ, where you been?
If you're a young person,
Caesar
do not
Cole,
put
show
money
us
in the
some
pension
shit.
fund. Why?
It's
Because
smoke.
the
He ain't
value of the pension
deep
fund
penny and
is
some ballers.
going
He sold us
drastically
out.
down.
It doesn't
When you
matter,
grow
man.
up,
gotta get out
when
of
you
here. The
mature,
cop's gonna ride
and
in
you
a second.
retire,
Nah,
guess what,
man,
guys?
running
There's
out
no
on
money
blood.
in the pension
Yo,
fund
boss,
for you.
I'm taking
Because all
you
that money is gone.
motherfucker. You hear me?
Why?
I'm taking you all
Because
down,
there are
bitches.
too many retirees and not enough workers.
Saw that.
Right? So back in the year 2001, you had a problem. You had 7.6 retirees for every 12.7 workers. This is, you basically, the ideal is 1 to 3. So 1 pensioner, 3 workers. That's a healthy pension system. Now you have more pensioners, okay, than you have workers. This is a huge problem. These pensions will all go bankrupt in 5 to 10 years' time. At the same time, as I said, old people are not dying. In fact, old people are coming to dominate society. This is America. You can see how people who are 85 and older. Whoa, look at this. Look at this.
Man, don't pull it out if you
The aging crisis in America is huge. But it's not just America, it's everywhere. Right? So, by the year 2040, you'll have 65 million people in America who are over 65. You have 50 million Americans who are 85. And guess what? These 15 Americans, most of them are the ones who control America. So they dictate policy.
You want to say something?
And again, this is happening throughout the world, okay? It particularly starts in Japan and Germany, but this is happening throughout the world. And this leads us to the idea of gerontocracy, okay? This is Joe Biden, President of the United States, and this is Mitch McConnell, who is head of the Senate. They're both retired now, okay? But they're both in their 80s, and they were the 2 most powerful men in America. He can't walk straight, okay? Whenever he walks, he trips. This guy is even worse because, look at this. The guy's brain dead. The guy is literally brain dead in public.
Boy. How you feel about that?
Man,
Okay?
take it
He'll
off.
be like-
Please, man. I can't breathe. Please.
Oh, all right.
And like,
Only
no matter what you
because
do, he's
said
like,
please.
this is brain dead, okay? The guy, this is a brain freeze.
Motherfucker.
The guy should
Intimidate
not
those who intimidate others, Carl.
be one of the most
It's my
powerful
job.
men in America, but he is.
Right.
That's the world we live in, because he will not give up power.
Yeah. Hey, man. Where we at?
This is Dianne
Middle
Feinstein.
of
She
fucking
died
nowhere.
in office. She was 90 years old.
fucking
She was 90 years old, and she was still working, and she died in her office. And she was a
Sweet is
senator
alive,
in the United States.
Alive and inside.
These people are literally
He's in a prison hospital, being treated for
fighting
gunshot
for life.
wounds, awaiting trial.
Okay? They refuse to give up power. They only give up power if they die.
Oh yeah, you should be glad.
This is
Carl.
the U.S. Senate, again, the most
Your
powerful
moron
political
brothers
institution in
alive,
America.
Your street trash
These are people who are above the standard retirement age, which is
And
62,
she's only
okay?
sucking
This guy's
one
90 years old, and he's still working. 90 years old, and he's
are
still
going pretty
working
well for you,
in
Carl.
the Senate. And he doesn't want to retire.
So
Chuck
behave,
Grassley.
nigga.
We want you to do a little favor for us,
What does it
Carl.
mean to have a world run by old people? Now, maybe in school, maybe
Smoke does
you've been,
exactly what
maybe
he's told.
at home you've been
You
taught
learned that
that
lesson a
old
long
people
time
are
ago, man.
wise.
Take it easy.
Homies for
They're
life.
tolerant.
Street
They're
loyalty.
generous.
That's all bullshit.
They're benevolent.
Didn't
No,
you
no,
learn
no,
that when
guys.
They ran you out of town
No.
just because you let Brian
The
die?
difference between these three generations, young, mature, and
Hey, I
elderly,
can't
are
deal
pretty
with this
stark.
guy. He's an
You're
idiot.
young, you're rebellious. You want to change the system. If you're mature, you want things to move slowly, okay? But if you're elderly, you're reactionary, meaning you don't want anything to change.
Right, Carl?
If you change anything, they get upset
By
and
any
slap
means
you.
necessary.
That's reactionary.
Now you stay the
Young
fuck
people
away
are
from
creative,
smoke and stay the
mature
fuck
people
away
want
from us.
growth, but elder
Otherwise,
people
Sweet's
care
gonna
first and
find
foremost
himself
about
on a
safety.
baller's block, getting in touch with his feminine side.
Young people are open-minded,
Hey, Hernandez,
mature
you gonna
people
play
want
all day?
consensus, meaning they want everyone to get along, but other people are stubborn. They want things their way.
Disagree with some of our methods.
No,
So-
who could do that?
Yeah,
We
you'll
are now
never find
living in a
anybody as
gerontocracy which is
fork-tongued as this
ruled by
snake-ass
elderly people, okay?
Soon as he
So we're
gets
going to live
caught
in a
with his hand in the
reactionary,
cookie jar,
stubborn
you'll whistle any
system,
tune internal
only
affairs
concerned about the safety of
See,
these
they got
people.
him hiding up
And so what does that mean?
someplace, so they can manipulate
Well,
his
it
testimony
means
any way they
that
want to.
I want you to pay
the
him a
world
little
will go into
visit, Carl,
lockdown. Whenever there's a
and
virus,
destroy all
guess
his
what?
evidence
We're
before
going to
he
have to shut down
Sort
because
this
old people
out,
are afraid of
Carl,
catching germs.
so Officer Tenpenny can
It
sleep
will
easy.
also lead to a police state.
Man, we want
Okay?
evidence.
Now, police state does not mean that there'll be terrible police coming to beat us
It's
up.
in the room,
In
plugged
fact,
in.
you know, in real life, most police that you meet are really, really nice people. But you have no individual freedom. Okay, so let me give you an example of this. So in Canada, a Chinese moved to Canada, and she bought a house, and her son is very naughty. And her son was so naughty that she wants to slap him. But she knows that in Canada, you can't really slap children, even in private, right? So she goes online and asks everyone, can I slap my child? And everyone's like, you can't do that, because if you do that, your neighbors will report you to the police. But what you can do is report your child to the police. Tell the police your child is naughty, and they'll come and help you discipline your child. In fact, you can get the police to come every single week. They like that. This is what we call a police state, okay? Intrusive government interference into your personal lives. Oh, and lots of surveillance, okay? Wherever you move, you'll be tracked. Whatever call you make, you'll be tracked. In 2003, Britain passed something called the Online Safety Act. And the idea is, if you say anything bad online, you can get arrested. Okay, so the freedom of expression is being limited. This passed in 2023 in Britain, but I assume it will pass everywhere in the Western world. Digital currency. The idea of digital currency is the idea of financial repression. So they're trying to eliminate cash, because with cash, there's freedom. You can do whatever you want with cash. You can buy whatever you want for how much you want with cash. But with digital currency, all your transactions will be limited and monitored. Okay? So in the future, you will not be able to buy video games because that's bad for you.
Come by
It's all fresh out of the crates.
Oh, microchip implants, guys. Right? Isn't that great? Before you had cell phones, then you had facial recognition, and in the future you have implants, microchip implants. Immigrants, lots and lots of immigrants, because rich pensioners need help. They need nurses, they need laborers, they need gardeners, they need people to mow their lawn. So you have massive immigration coming into the country. Oh, but good news, okay? It'll be easier for you to study in America from now on, right? Today, Trump announced he wants 600,000 Chinese students to go to the United States, right? Before you guys were worried about not getting your visas and getting denied at the border, don't worry, guys. They want you to go to the United States because you guys are the best labor, okay? You're cheap, you're obedient, and you're studious, and you're young. Okay? So this is the plan, to let in more Chinese students into America so you guys can take care of elderly people. Isn't that great? Good news, right?
Can't spell
lots of prisons, guys.
Sung.
Okay, because elderly people are afraid of criminals. And also, prisoners are free labor. Isn't that great? Oh, and one more thing.
I don't think
war after war after war.
This guy's
right?
in
This
China
is what it means
like
by death by gerontocracy. This is what it means to live in a world governed by elderly people.
Just like here, you talk too much shit.
Elderly people are perfectly happy to send young people to die.
It doesn't have to be the cops,
for
your
their
boss, your family.
Right? Okay. Pretty depressing, but don't worry. Things will get even more depressing as we go on.
For being in China, and who knows what the truth is? This could be a Chinese psyop. You know, it's not even a real dude. It's manufactured to get a response. You know, who knows what the truth is?
Yeah.
Libertarian Congressman Thomas Massey is still fighting to force a vote on the House floor that would potentially release the Epstein files, even as Republican leadership fights pretty hard to prevent that from happening. So the latest includes a pretty interesting declaration of victory from Congressman Massey. In fact, during a recent event in Kentucky, he says he believes he's going to have enough votes to force the vote. So for now, Massey is declaring victory on his move to have that vote take place now that the election to fill a vacant seat in Arizona has taken place. Democrat Adelita Grijalva, who won the Arizona special election on Tuesday to fill her late father's seat, is expected to put the discharge petition over the top when she is sworn in next week. So the discharge petition, which Massey needs 218 votes for, is essentially what would lead to would lead to the House having to vote on releasing the Epstein files. Now, she is expected to vote yes on Massey's discharge petition, which again would force a vote on releasing the files. And Massey announced at this event in northern Kentucky that he will have 218 supporters saying that they're going to have a vote. I think they're coming to terms with that, meaning GOP leadership in the House. This is amazing. So I'm going to bet the speaker is probably going to hand out hall passes to some congressmen because this is an 80-20 issue, meaning 80% want the Epstein files to be released. They want the transparency. The other 20%, what's going on? Now, at the same time, according to Semaphore, he said his 3 Republican colleagues who have actually signed on to that discharge petition are kind of dealing with some threats here. And that includes Nancy Mace, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and Lauren Boebert. Now, Boebert told CNN last week that she would not be removing her name from the discharge petition. She's still very much in favor of it. And I want to be clear that Massey said that 3 of his Republican colleagues are under duress for signing the discharge petition or signing on to it. But he is saying that they're not being met with any threats of violence or anything like that. So I want to be clear about that. But by the way, Boebert also noted that she wasn't getting pressured at all. So that's what she said last week. Maybe things have changed since then. Now, every House Democrat has also co-signed to the discharge petition. They want to force a vote on the Epstein files, which is good news. And after the event in northern Kentucky, Massey told Semaphore that They came back and tried to get the 4 of us to take our names off the petition. They asked some of my colleagues who are co-signers, and they actually threatened them politically, not physically. Massey said if Johnson uses parliamentary tactics to evade a vote, that there's enough notoriety on this issue that people will know that he's sweeping this under the rug. He also said that if there is language included in a bill to sideline the petition, those who vote for that bill are part of the cover-up. And if you're wondering, well, what about the Senate? Because remember, this would need to pass in the Senate as well, and Republicans control the Senate. Well, it turns out that there are 2 senators in particular who are supportive of Thomas Massey's efforts. That includes Senators Rand Paul and Josh Hawley. And in a September 10th, 2025 vote in the Senate, Republicans Rand Paul and Josh Hawley were the only 2 Republican senators who sided with Democrats in support of an amendment to force the release of the Epstein files. But ultimately, it failed. Unfortunately, it failed 51-49.
So, all right, they always do this rotating villains, and you never get the answers. You never get your government ever serving you. But, you know, look.
You can't handle the truth.
Tom Massey being an American hero was not on my bingo card, and maybe it should have been, because he's been honest all along. You don't agree with him on a lot of the policy issues. But here, he's 100% right, and I love how stubborn he is. And no matter what they threaten him with, and now the Israeli lobby is spending already $2 million for a race that is more than a year away, okay? And that's just the tip of the iceberg for how much they're gonna come for. And isn't it weird? Like, his number one thing is the Epstein files, and the Israeli lobby is like, whoa, we don't want those being released. I don't know if you realize you're telling on yourself. Totally. Now, okay. Now, to be fair, Massey's also against more Israel funding. And of course, the Israeli lobby thinks that all US congressmen must serve Israel. If they don't serve Israel, they will spend millions of dollars eliminating them, but they don't control anything. That's a trope. That's, you're not, shush, you're not allowed to say. There's a lot of things you're not allowed to say. For example, the government says that there are no victims or perpetrators that victimized the women that Epstein victimized. Now, there's over 1,000 of them. We know that there are hundreds of men, but the government, in its infinite corruption, says no, they don't exist, and we're never going to prosecute them. So when Massey says that if you vote against this, you're part of the cover-up, well, that's literal. You can't argue against that. You are purposely covering it up so that the American people don't find out who's guilty, who raped those girls. The government doesn't want you to know. Why? It's obviously a friend of the government. You don't imagine if it was like a radical left person that somehow was involved. Do you think Stephen Miller and Donald Trump and all those guys would keep that hidden?
It depends. Are there people on the right who are also implicated in it? Because that's what the Epstein files are.
Yeah.
That's the problem, right? So when you talk about how the Democrats and the Republicans, right, those in positions of power keep playing this good cop, bad cop game, the reason why, if let's say Donald Trump were implicated in the Epstein files, the reason why the Democrats wouldn't release the Epstein files while they're in charge, while they're in power, is because there's power.
It's will you plug me in down there? Thank you.
Therapy, you're my therapy. Time to get.
Okay, why am I?
Under siege by hoodlums. Gang and
drug wars are plaguing the city. Hey, you in this car or what? Yeah. A huge sudden upsurge in cocaine sales have been reported. The street wars between gangs of Ballas and Grove Street hoodlums came to a head recently when several senior Grove Street gang members were killed while others were incarcerated. The police described that as, and I'm quoting, excellent news. Back to you, Leanne.
Bridges linking Red County and Flint County finally.
Powerful Democrats were implicated in it as well.
Yeah, look, I get that that's obvious, but
People
now
don't see it.
my belief is I think there's a 98% chance it was an intelligence agency. Because all the time, every time, Democrats and Republicans, no, we can't. You have to understand, no. And then Mike Johnson, we're trying to protect the victims. Oh, really? By not prosecuting any of the people who did it, decade after decade? That's somehow protecting the victims? You see how politicians are massive, disgusting liars?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay? So that's why when you see a Tom Massey or a Ro Khanna who've been working on this in a bipartisan way, actually being honest, it's like shocking. We love finding folks who are good fits for us, right?
I love good fits.
When you're sleepy, you definitely need a good fit. So I don't get enough sleep during the weekdays, but because of Lisa Mattress, at least on Saturdays, I'm getting some great sleep, and I'm waking up in the morning thinking, I got this. So I love that they have free shipping. I love that they have easy returns. That's super critical for me. 100-day trial. What else do you want?
You got to get that trial.
And they've given away 42,000 mattresses. We love companies trying to do good in the world. So they're good guys and they've got great mattresses.
They're philanthropists.
You can't lose with this. So that's why we picked them, and we hope you do too.
Go to lisa.com for 25% off, plus get an extra $50 off with promo code TYT exclusive to our viewers. That's LEESA.com, promo code TYT for 25% off, plus an extra $50 off. But be sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Lisa.com, promo code TYT.
Like, are politicians allowed to be honest? And then people sometimes are getting on us. Oh, well, you're agreeing with Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're not allowed to agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
No, I'll agree.
Okay. I agree with her on this.
We're going to agree with anyone who we think is right on any issue.
Yeah.
That includes Tucker Carlson, who I think is right on the issue of Israel. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's absolutely right on the issue of transparency for the Epstein files and getting foreign money out of our politics. Listen, I'm going to take the win. When there are opportunities to work with people that might even be on the opposite end of the political aisle from us, who cares? If you can build a coalition on an issue-by-issue basis and actually, for the first time in decades, get positive movement in this country, we should take it. I think the only reason why we haven't been able to do that is because for the longest time, we have deluded ourselves, thanks to those in power brainwashing us, into thinking that we should hate each other, that we shouldn't work together when there's common ground.
Yeah, so I was talking with John from the Stage Crew after the show yesterday. I want to tell you guys real quick about that. Look, guys, we were talking about this analogy. If there's 100 people and one of them is in charge and has all the money and wealth, and the other 99 realize it, well, then that one guy is in a lot of trouble, especially if he's being unfair and reading the rules, etc. So what's the logical thing he would do? In any given situation, if he was really smart, the logical thing he would do was to get the other 100 to fight with each other and to forget about it. Whatever you do, they don't want you looking up. And the people who did the Epstein files, the Epstein crimes, are up. So they're like, don't look, fight against each other. That's why this story is connected to the earlier story of Stephen Miller and Donald Trump talking about, the radical left Democrats, domestic terrorists, and the violence and hatred and loathing. You should hate them. Why? Because they don't want you to look up. They're covering up Epstein files. They're covering up Israel. They're covering up corporate corruption. All their donors are robbing us blind. And what did the Democrats do? Same thing. Israel, take all of our money. Epstein files. Oh, no way, we're never going to show you. Oh, corporate corruption here's more subsidies. So stop getting divided by the hate monger politicians. And whenever you see politicians, they're doing right on anything. I mean, it's a minor miracle. So yes, I'm going to support honest politicians, even ones I disagree with, as long as I get a sense that they're honest. I mean, my God, our politicians are such filthy liars that it's like a ray of light to see someone who's being honest on any issue.
And by the way, guys, it should not be lost on anyone watching this right now that the reason why you're starting to see politicians on both sides of the political aisle feel pressure to sign on to releasing the Epstein files is because this is an 80-20 issue, meaning the American people overall are united in wanting that transparency. So as a result, I'm going to go to the final graphic here, just give you a little bit of a white pill. Republicans on the House Rules Committee have made clear that this time they will not help Johnson kill the Epstein files vote, a third source said. So, I mean, talk is cheap. We're going to wait and see what happens in the end. But you think they're doing that out of the kindness of their own heart, or is it because they're feeling the pressure from American voters?
Yeah, all right. Last two things I'll say is, Tom Massey mentioned a hall pass. So if you're not involved in politics, you might not know what that is. What that is when leadership of either party realizes they're going to lose a vote. They just don't have enough votes. They then release their people on their side to vote in the popular direction, right? Even though they were not going to do that if they could win the vote. So here, since we have just enough Republicans joining the Democrats to release the Epstein files, they're going to lose the vote. So then you might not get just the first 4, you might get 24 or 44. Understand that those others that come in later are liars. They don't mean that at all. They're only being released or giving it a hall pass to vote in that direction because they couldn't, they couldn't successfully complete the cover-up.
Right.
And so the people to thank there, and these are people I've spoken out against 1,000 times, but the 4 Republicans, Tom Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert, and Nancy Mace. Man, have I got millions of criticism for them in other issues. But here, they did a great job. They got them over the hump, and they deserve a lot of credit for that. And they did it in a bipartisan way, and they didn't go, oh, Democrats are voting for it, and I don't want it. I want to hurt the American people. They didn't do that. Now, finally, on the Senate, if they get to a point where they didn't have enough Republicans flipped, and they were going to lose the vote, Democrats will never believe me, but for progressives, you know this, they have rotating villains. There'll be some Democrat who raises his hand and votes with the Republicans. Because they're going to cover it up. They're going to cover it up. They always cover it up. And since both Democrats and Republicans have been doing it the whole time, at this point, I don't really believe almost any of the Democrats, other than Ro Khanna, who's led this effort, right, and a couple of others, that they actually mean it. And if they're gonna win the vote, some Democratic senators might panic and go, we didn't adequately protect the vote.
Well, it would be a dumb political move to do that, especially after what we learned from the press conference that the Epstein victims held alongside, the bipartisan congressional effort to release the Epstein files. They're going to release the names themselves. So either we can do this the right way, congressionally through legislation, or we can have it happen the other way. So I guess no matter what, the truth will come out. All things dark come to light. I genuinely believe that. So if the lawmakers in Congress right now think they can engage in a cover-up and get away with it, I doubt it. In this instance, people are not dropping this for good reason. It has to do with injustice. It has to do with pedophilia. It has to do with those who perpetrated acts of pedophilia and got away with it, weren't prosecuted for it, and hold positions of power. So we're going to wait and see.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.
I'm discerning between Catholicism and Orthodoxy. I will be one of those two. I'm just discerning between the two now.
Okay.
So my objection comes from, Vatican I and papal infallibility. Mm-hmm. From what I've heard from the Orthodox side, they say that it's just made up out of whole cloth and that it doesn't really apply, and that's never what the church actually meant by it.
Never what the church meant by what?
Like that, the Pope was never supposed to be infallible.
Okay, I see.
Yeah,
that was right. That the language we have now for infallibility comes from the First Vatican Council in the 1860s, and so the objection is they were doing something new. That's not really what the papacy is.
Yes, correct.
Okay. Great. Well, I think a good place to start would be back in the year 180. With St. Irenaeus in the book Against Heresies, book 3, chapter 3, where he talks about the necessity of agreeing with the church in Rome.
He says we can dispel heresy by indicating that tradition derived from the apostles of the very great, the very ancient, and universally known church founded and organized at Rome by the two most glorious apostles, Peter and Paul. And also by pointing out faith preached to men, which comes down to our times by means of the succession of the bishops. For, and this is the kicker, it is a matter of necessity that every church should agree with this church on account of its preeminent authority. Now, that's an important standard, that it is a matter of necessity for every other church on earth, if they're going to persevere in the faith, to agree with the Church of Rome. I don't see a way that you can affirm that and not end up with at least something pretty darn close to the notion of papal infallibility defined at the First Vatican Council. Because if you think that the Church of Rome can err, then you can't think that it's a matter of necessity to agree with the Church of Rome, unless you're saying we necessarily have to agree with error. So if Irenaeus is saying that it is a matter of necessity that other churches agree with this church, that seems to point to a special protection the Holy Spirit is giving to that church. So I would just make two arguments. One, an argument I think Catholics and Orthodox can agree on. The infallibility of the church is necessary to live out the commands of Christ. And what I mean by that is this. Jesus tells us two things. I mean, more than two, but two for our purposes here. Number one, that we are called to be one. We're clearly called to be one church. He builds one church, not a bunch. And he prays in John 17 that we will all be one as he and the Father are one. So we can't have schism. This is a damnable sin, Galatians 5:20. It's, very clearly off the table. But the other thing we can't do is we can't have heresy. We can't say, all right, well, we're all going to get along by all agreeing on false doctrine because that's the most popular kind of doctrine out there. So you cannot choose heresy. You cannot choose schism. If the church can teach as a matter of church teaching something heretical, then you are forced to choose to accept heresy or accept schism. So, therefore, we need infallibility to protect Christians from being put in that position. That makes sense so far?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Okay, great. The particular application of that is if the way we can identify which visible church is part of the true church is by appeal to Peter and the Apostolic See, by Rome, well, then we know that this is going to be true not just of the church writ large, but also in a particular way of the Church of Rome. And that's what we mean by papal infallibility. It's not that the Pope is personally sinless. I mean, Dante certainly was of the opinion a lot of popes were in hell, and he is by no means the only Catholic to speculate on that. It's not a promise of personal sinlessness. It is a promise that the Pope, using his office, will not force you to choose heresy or schism.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, and then I would add to that the other thing this gets us is, this identifying where to find the church by where Peter is, where, the Church of Rome is, this principle we see laid out by authors like Irenaeus. You see this in plenty of other authors. So, for instance, St. Optatus of Miletus and against the Donatists talks about how this is why the Church of Rome is the head of the churches on earth. And he even makes like a word play between Peter being called Kepha and the Greek word for head. They're actually etymologically distinct. It doesn't matter. Like, that's not where the name Peter comes from, but he talks about the Roman church being the Petrine church. And he even says, like, this is why there's one apostolic see in this sense. Because otherwise, every church founded by an apostle could claim, well, you have to go with me. And yet it's very clear when you're reading Eastern or Western fathers that they have some recognition that there's some special authority held by the Church of Rome that nobody else claims to have. Now, there's honor given to a bunch, but there's a special authority given to Rome itself. I'm sorry, Todd. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to give Nathan your book, Pope Peter. Is that all right?
Yes, I think that's a good idea.
All right. I'll tell you what, Nathan, if you'd like it, Joe wrote a book called Pope Peter, Defending the Church's Most Distinctive Doctrine in a Time of Crisis. All you have to do is hang on the line. We'll get an address and we'll send it out to you. Thank you, Nathan. Thanks very much.
And one of America's biggest problems is the growing national debt, okay? So the government is paying for a lot of government services just by putting money, okay? So right now, the US national debt is about $34 trillion, okay? And this $34 trillion debt, half of it is owned by foreigners, okay? So Japan has about $1 trillion, China has about 800 billion, so they buy US treasuries, okay? So America owes Japan $1 trillion, America owes China $800 billion. And then half of it
Do you want some, fatso? You big stick of Yankee fish? I seen fucking unis with more balls than you. What the fuck did you want?
Nothing. I'm looking for a friend of mine's cousin, Mexican guy. He ain't here.
You? But Cesar said you was a real man.
Crazy. Lady, I'm a God-fearing, peace-loving man of the people.
Whatever, asshole. Let's go.
Damn, relax, baby.
Where's your car?
Where's yours?
Ladies don't drive themselves. That's what men are for.
Oh, my goodness. Thanks, Caesar. Appreciate this, homie. So, what's your name? Where we going?
My name is Catalina, and we're gonna take this county for every stinking cent.
Okay, good plan, I guess.
You're damn straight it's a good plan. I've cased 4 soft targets. A liquor store in Blueberry, a bank in Palomino Creek, a gas station in Dillimore, and a betting shop in Montgomery.
Hold up. Which one first?
You're the driver, you dumb pig. You choose. Set up the needle. Hand over the tanking so I blow your fucking balls off.
This here is bulletproof glass. So you can just fuck off, bitch, before I call the sheriff.
What are you doing, son? Just give her the cash.
Suit yourself, maricon. Change of plan, girl. We're taking the tanker.
Hey, what you doing? I ain't losing another crappy job because of some crazy bitch. Come on, Derek. We're gonna stop those bastards.
Come on, Derek.
Do I have to?
Drive! I know a guy who'll pay for this rig and its cargo.
Get ahead of them.
It ain't worth it.
Steady, steady.
I don't want to do this.
Keep up with them.
Oh my God, I'm gonna die.
What the hell am I supposed to do?
Hey, man.
The government owes to its people. So the 2 largest expenses are the military and the pension system, okay? So $34 trillion is a lot of money because the US GDP is about $100 trillion. So the total debt is about a third of America's GDP. And this debt has interest, right? So this debt is growing about 1 to 2 trillion every 2 to 3 months, okay? And all this is saying, okay, these numbers, all they're telling us is there's absolutely no way that America can pay all this debt, okay? So then the question then is, if you're China and you're Japan, why do you have all this debt knowing that America can never pay you back? Or America will at some point default on this debt. Why? Why does Japan and China and other countries have all this debt, US treasuries, knowing that America can never really pay back all this debt? Why? Okay, so there are many reasons, okay? The first reason is that, in theory, Japan and China can always take this debt and buy oil with it, okay? So this is, again, the petrodollar. Second reason is that even though America is in debt, it's still an empire. It's still the greatest military power in the world. So at some point, you feel that the money is safe there. Okay, does that make sense? Because no one can actually challenge America militarily. And the third reason, and this is the most important reason, is there's no place for you to go. You understand? What else? Where else can you put your money? Nowhere. Okay? So that's the issue right now. And so in theory, because China and Japan can buy oil with it, and because there's really no place for China and Japan to put this money, in theory, this system can go on forever, okay? So it's possible that maybe in 10 years' time, the debt will be 340 trillion, okay? Who knows, okay? So in theory, this could go on forever, right? Because America's an empire. But then, what happened 2-3 years ago is Russia invaded Ukraine. Okay? Russia invaded Ukraine. And why this is important is that this is basically Russia challenging the dominance of the American empire. Okay? What Putin is really saying to the United States is, I think your empire is full of lies. Your empire is based on nothing. Your empire is based on the perception that you are invincible in war. Well, I'm going to invade Ukraine and prove everyone wrong, okay? I'm going to show that you, America, are in fact a paper tiger. Okay? And so, if Putin succeeds in his war in Ukraine, then the fundamental understanding of how the world works, that America is an empire, that America is invincible, that the US dollar is safe, will radically change. Okay? It will be destroyed, it will be undermined, it will be subverted. Okay? Does that make sense? So that's why America needs to stop Russia in Ukraine. Okay? Can it stop Russia? Can it stop Russia in Ukraine? How's the war going for America in Ukraine? Pretty badly, okay? I mean, the war is almost over. Okay, but what America can do, okay, which will solve all these problems, is for America to transition from a financial economy back to a manufacturing economy. Okay? If America just does this, America has nothing to worry about. It doesn't have to worry about the debt. It doesn't have to worry about Russia. It doesn't really have to worry about the world, okay? Because America is a self-sufficient economy, meaning that it has the resources to sustain itself. It doesn't really need to trade with the rest of the world, okay? If America can return to being a manufacturing economy, then it will be invincible. Okay? Now the question then is, can America reindustrialize? Yes or no? Why not, Jack?
Like their politics doesn't allow them to.
Because the politics does not allow them to, exactly. But can you explain that?
Like the financial sector has too much political power, so all they're trying to do is to perpetuate financialization.
Yeah.
Allow
That's exactly right, Jack, okay? So, yes, the problem right now is the very structure of American society and politics and the economy. Right now, the financial sector has all the power.
Justice.
And they don't want to go back to the time when manufacturing had all the power, right? So that's the first problem. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that they agree to this, okay? What's your other problem? If you want to reindustrialize. Excuse me? Okay, but all the foreign investment can just go into factories, right? But there's actually a really big problem with reindustrialization, okay? So as Jack says, there will be political resistance to this. Okay, but then you have a bigger problem than this, which is what?
How does smart? Oh, yeah, and
okay, guys.
Gym class president.
The problem with this economy is it creates a speculative mindset, okay? So therefore, no one wants to work hard. No one wants to go to work in factories anymore. You understand? If you're a young person, you would much rather spend your time investing in Bitcoin than working in a factory. You understand? Because investing in Bitcoin gives you the opportunity to become rich. But if you work in a factory, you have to work hard for 40 years.
Distracted.
Just
Sorry, I'm
to
walking
buy a
through the
house.
police station.
Does that make sense?
And if you
So you're not going
accidentally
to find
pick up a
people to
gun
work
in
these
here,
factories.
Yeah, you're toast.
they'll
That's a
start
bigger
shooting at
problem.
you. Yeah, I learned that.
Okay? And the third problem, of course, is just investment. How do you build these factories? You not only have to build these factories, but you also have to build logistics
well, I
networks
didn't do
to move
anything.
goods from one place to the next.
My
okay?
camera, I think.
Okay?
What
So,
the?
in other words, America
Ouch,
could
that
reindustrialize, but it's a pain in the ass, right? You're going to face a lot
No,
of
dude, I don't know
opposition,
what I did.
especially from the financial sector.
It's something.
It's very hard for you to get people to work in factories. And plus, where's all this money going to come from, okay? So, if you can't beat Russia in Ukraine, and if you can't reindustrialize, then what can you do to protect the petrodollar and your financial system? Well, I have an idea, okay? Invade Iran, okay? Invade Iran. Now, why would you do that? And the answer is that, unfortunately, of all the options out there, okay, because America can't just sit back and let its empire collapse, right? Of all the options out there, invading Iran happens to be politically the easiest to do, okay? You can't go fight a war against Russia because Russia has nuclear weapons. You cannot reindustrialize because there'll be too much political opposition towards that. Plus, it'll take you about 50 years to reindustrialize. But if you invade Iran, well, you accomplish three things, okay? The first thing is you show the world that you're still the top dog. Your military is still invincible, okay? So if you're a foreign investor in America, you have $1 trillion US, you feel safe, okay? You don't think the US dollar will collapse. Okay? That's the first thing. To show the world that America is still the world's foremost military power, therefore the US dollar is safe. Okay?
They're in the same
Second is
you know what I'm saying? But like, our kids
oil, right?
Leave us. Like,
what is
teacher
the
so like no, it's cute.
US dollar based on? Oil, right? Well, if you control oil, then you don't have to worry about people abandoning the US dollar. Does that make sense? Okay, and it happens that the Middle East produces
Where's your car?
40% of the world's oil.
Ladies don't drive
And
themselves.
Iran is the world's fourth largest oil exporter. But when you take over Iran, you also control Iraq as well. You control that entire area. Okay?
So, what's your name?
And the third thing about
My name is Catalina.
invading Iran is trade.
Okay, good plan,
So,
I guess.
You're damn straight, it's a good plan.
that area,
I've cased 4 soft
most
targets.
of the world's trade
A
has
liquor
passed through that
store in
area,
Blueberry,
right?
a bank in
So,
Palomino Creek,
invading
a gas
Iran
station in
would allow you to
Dillamore,
control
and a betting
the
shop in
world's shipping
Montgomery.
lanes.
Hold up. Which one first?
Drive
So-
driver, you dumb pig, you choose.
Ouch.
That would be the theory behind invading Iran, okay? But the motivation would be to save the American empire. Because if Putin wins in Ukraine, then America is going to look weak. It's going to look like a paper tiger, right? And in this situation, as the empire, you have to act. Today,
real charming, a proper lady.
you have a lot of countries in Africa who are rebelling against the Western powers, France, basically, and in America. Why? Because they think that Putin is now in charge, okay? Why did October 7th, why did Hamas attack Israel? I guarantee you that if it were not for the war in Ukraine, Hamas would not have done such a thing, okay? For the longest time before the war in Ukraine, there was a perception in the world that America was militarily invincible. No power, no country could ever dare stand up against the United States. And by invading Ukraine, Putin has proved everyone wrong, okay? That the United States can be defeated. And so what the United States must do now is prove to the world, no, we're still militarily the greatest power in the world. Okay, does that make sense? Okay? And again, it must do so to protect its financial economy. Otherwise, there's a very good chance that this financial economy will implode onto itself. Okay? If China, Japan, other countries pull out of the U.S. financial sector, okay? If they sell the U.S. treasuries, not only will America face a sovereign debt crisis, but it will lose access to easy money, okay? Easy money. And the problem in America today is that America is an empire addicted to easy money, okay? People are so used to just sitting around and making millions of dollars that they cannot imagine or tolerate a day when they would have to go back to work from home. Okay? So it's this addiction to easy money which will drive American, which will drive American
no
invading
heroic
Iraq.
shit.
Okay?
Hey, what was you saying?
I've had diabetes for 21 years.
Oh, really?
And it got bad, and there was nothing I could do to stop it. I exercise every day, I eat right, and then in 2021, I just started gaining weight inexplicably. I went to the doctor, I said, I've never been this fat in my life. He said, oh, it's the insulin. But your diabetes is so bad, we have to do something radical, he said. So he sent me an article from The Lancet, written by a Scottish surgeon. A Scottish surgeon wrote a paper and said he had this woman with uncontrolled diabetes who also had stomach cancer. So he cut her open, took the stomach completely out, and like magic, in 24 hours, her pancreas started working again and started making insulin. So I called this guy in Scotland, and I paid him for his time. I interviewed him. He said, yeah, we don't understand why it happens, but it's like a cure for diabetes. I said, is there anybody in the United States doing this? He said, yeah, there's a guy in New York. So I made an appointment and called that guy. Said exactly the same thing. We don't know why this works, but it does. I said, are there any side effects? He said, it may make your hair fall out. So I said, is there
I'd take it. That's a good trade-off, though.
Yeah, I'll take it. Because the other guy told me I'm going to be dead in 5 years.
Oh.
So I said, is there anybody in Washington doing it? He introduces me to a surgeon there. The guy says, look, this is experimental, so insurance won't pay for it. I took out a loan. And I did it. They took my stomach out. Within 24 hours, I was off insulin.
kidding.
Within 9 months, I was off all diabetes medications. My hair has thinned, but I don't have diabetes anymore, and I lost 115 pounds.
No kidding.
Wait, what about you? They took your stomach out? Is that what you're saying?
Took it out.
So
and I said to the surgeon, I said, so what did you do? You like cut me open? And he said, no. He said, I shaved your belly. I sat 10 feet away, and the robot did it all. And I was like, cool. They made 2 1-inch incisions. I said, how'd you get it out of there like that? He said, well, you've been on a liquid diet for 10 days. He said, there was nothing to it. I just took it right out.
And so now when you eat, what happens?
They made a little pouch out of my small intestine right here that holds a quarter cup, which is so small that I have to say, like, oh, it's 2 o'clock. I haven't eaten anything yet today. I should probably eat something. I'm never, ever hungry. Never.
So they made like a fake stomach out of your small intestine?
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
The side effects include not having a stomach.
Well, that's one of
But
them.
I'll tell you what, it worked like a charm. I feel like $1 million. I'm the same weight I was when I turned 30.
Oh, wow.
And I don't have diabetes
Dude,
anymore.
I can't control.
How come no one talks about
I
this?
know, right? Because insurance companies won't pay for it.
Yeah,
because
I had to
there's
pay
more-
cash.
Well,
because it's experimental.
Okay, and
but imagine what I saved the insurance company by not being on insulin.
Right,
for
you
the
would
next
think that
20 years.
so Big Pharma obviously doesn't want you to know about this treatment because they make billions selling insulin, right?
And Mounjaro and Trulicity and all this other stuff that people are injecting these days.
Oh, is that those are also diabetic diabetes?
Trulicity?
Yeah,
Why
Trulicity.
drugs sound like a black girl name, dude?
I know, right? I was on Trulicity for 2 years. I didn't get anything at all from her.
Trulicity and Katina came over, and we had a diabetes.
Katina can get in here.
That's unbelievable.
Are you on a special diet now?
No, I eat anything my heart desires. I will say I have a little bit of trouble with beef because it's too dense. But one thing that goes down easy every single time is sushi. And so where I used to go once every couple of weeks, I go now like 3 times a week because it's wonderful.
Come see me on tour in Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, San Francisco, Melbourne, Australia, Sydney, Australia, Brisbane, Burbank, California the day after Thanksgiving, and Pottstown, Pennsylvania. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.
Imagine applying for a building permit, but before the project can move forward, you're told you'll need to consult with the elves. That's not the setup for a fantasy urban design novel, but a real headline from the New York Times in 2005. Building in Iceland? Better clear it with the elves first. The article recounts case after case in Iceland where road crews were diverted, bulldozers mysteriously malfunctioned, or construction projects stalled because locals insisted that the land belonged to Iceland's hidden people, or the Huldufolk. It's exactly the sort of paradox that foreign journalists apparently love. The New York Times breathlessly frames it as proof that a modern secularized nation remains stubbornly superstitious. But what often goes unsaid is just how much this fascination has been constructed from the outside. As scholars of religion have pointed out, the international obsession with Icelandic elves is a surprisingly recent phenomenon. 19th and early 20th century travel writers barely mention elves at all. Only in the late 20th century did guidebooks, travelogues, and documentaries turn elf belief into a pillar of Iceland's tourism brand, ranging from in-flight magazines directing tourists to elf dwellings to German television dramas about murdered elf commissioners. And yes, that's actually a thing. The German drama, not the elf commissioner. So what's really going on here? Are we looking at the survival of authentic pre-Christian beliefs and practices, or a carefully curated tourist elf, satisfying foreign journalists and tourists looking for Nordic mystique? To keep our analysis manageable, I'll be focusing specifically on belief in elves and hidden people, or in Icelandic, Álfar and Huldfolk, which are most often used interchangeably both in folklore and in the scholarly literature. Now, the term Álfar, where we get the English word elves, was far less precise than modern readers might expect. Rather than referring to a single race of beings, as we might imagine from The Lord of the Rings, Álfar in medieval texts seem to have been a broad label for a variety of supernatural figures. When we turn to the medieval sources, especially the collection of Old Norse mythological and heroic poems called the Poetic Edda, elves seem less like hidden neighbors in the hills and more like divine figures. In the Eddic poems, the Álfar occasionally appear alongside the Aesir in stock formulas, which refers to the primary group of Norse gods. One common example is the Aesir and the Elves, which turns up again and again as a stock phrase in multiple poems. Folklore scholar Dr. Terry Gunnell argues that this positioning suggests that, at least for some poets, elves were imagined as beings of comparable stature or importance to the gods. He says at this early point they seem to have been some kind of godlike being. Other scholars argue that the term at times seems to overlap with the Vanir, one of the two main groups of Norse gods. For example, consider Lokasenna, one of the mythological poems of the Poetic Edda. It describes a great feast where all the gods have gathered, and basically all of the gods are present, including figures we usually classify as Vanir. In the opening lines of the poem, the assembled company is described with that familiar formula, the Aesir and the Elves. But here's the problem. No elf actually appears in the story. The only groups present are the Aesir and the Vanir, but since the poem never uses the word Vanir, some scholars think that the Alvar may simply be a stand-in for the Vanir in this context. Still, Dr. Gunnell stresses that the picture is inconsistent. Elsewhere, the elves are listed as their own category alongside both the Aesir and the Vanir. And in another poem, the word elf refers to the character Volander, the son of a king. In this case, the term seems to refer to a kind of dangerous supernatural otherness, and not necessarily godly powers or stature. The elves may have also been thought of as noble male ancestors, a status you gained after death. The term itself is a grammatically male word, and sagas about kings remember certain rulers who, after death, were revered under the title of elf. You also see this in Old English names like Alfred or Alfric, where elf was used as a mark of nobility or possibly even otherworldly status. Evidence from Icelandic sagas indicate that elves also received blood sacrifices, which some scholars have interpreted as some form of ancestor worship. So according to the scholar Arman Jakobsen, in these earlier sources, elf should be thought of as a broad concept and hardly a category. The word can encompass almost any supernatural being with powers greater than humans, while still remaining distinct from the main pantheon of the Aesir. We should not be surprised by this fluidity, though. Scholars in recent years have argued that each Eddic poem may reflect a different worldview, and forcing them into a single Norse cosmology risks oversimplifying pre-Christian Norse religion. It makes more sense to think of shifting plural belief systems rather than one coherent system. Just as we should not assume that the authors of Mark and Matthew held identical views of Jesus, we should not assume that every Old Norse poet imagined the Alvar in the same way. Whatever else they were, though, at least in the Eddic poems, they were beings of godlike stature, important enough to be named in the same breath as the gods themselves, hang out with the gods at a banquet, and receive blood sacrifices. By the later Middle Ages, though, we start to see elves take a very different shape. Folklore scholar Terry Gunnell points out in his research that saga sources from the 13th and 14th centuries show a gradual shift as the Alvar were increasingly equated with the land spirits, or rock dwellers, who were thought to live in the landscape. They also start to pick up the mischievous, folkloric vibe we see in later history. Beings that can slip through walls, kidnap kids, or lure men and women into temptation. Gunnell argues that these motifs are likely influenced by a wave of Romance literature coming in from France. In other words, they begin to look less like minor gods and more like the fairy folk of later European tradition, uncanny spirits that intrude on everyday life. And this shift was not unique to Iceland. In Old English, the cognate word elf was already showing up in compound words that tied elves to natural features. Hill elves, water elves, wood elves. The word even crept into medical vocabulary. Elf sickness was a way to explain mysterious aches or sudden illnesses, and across Northern Europe, elves were increasingly linked to folklore about enchantment, disease, and the lurking dangers of the wild. By this stage, they were not receiving sacrifices anymore as in pre-Christian Iceland, but instead they were turning up in charms, healing spells, and cautionary tales. So we see an evolution in the concept of elves, slowly merging into the wider category of nature spirits. This laid the groundwork for a concept we see in modern Icelandic folklore. Elf dwellings, usually a rock or a grassy hill where elves are believed to live. Disturbing them is said to invite trouble, sickness, accidents, or broken machinery. So in this case, elves become less like gods and more like ambiguous neighbors, hidden but always bound to the landscape. Out of the sense of the landscape itself being alive with unseen powers grew the idea of the hidden people. While they're most famously linked with Iceland today, stories about hidden people are actually a pan-Scandinavian and even pan-Germanic belief. They appear in folk tales from Denmark, Norway, Sweden, and northern Germany, and most of them actually reflect a wider attempt by Christians to explain how beings like elves and trolls fit into a wider Christian worldview. Many of these folk tales root the hidden people in the biblical myth of Adam and Eve. One common story says that when God asked Eve to show him her children, she hid some of them out of shame because she was embarrassed embarrassed by how many kids she had. In response, God declared that those concealed children would remain hidden forever, becoming the unseen people who dwell in hills and rocks. Other variants of the story tie the hidden people to the cosmic struggle between God and the devil. The spirits who refused to take sides in the war in heaven fell to earth, neither damned nor saved, and took up residence in the landscape. They are not quite angels and not quite demons, but something else, something in between. So these origin stories show how Christians attempted to negotiate between pre-Christian traditions and Christian theology. Instead of erasing older nature spirits or calling them demons, they placed them in an ambiguous category. They might bless a farmstead, borrow household tools without asking, or teach songs at a waterfall, but they might also lure kids away, bring illness, or curse those who disrespect their dwellings. In 19th and early 20th century folklore, before the influence of internationalized pop culture, the hidden people were imagined as a kind of parallel society. They farmed, kept their livestock, and even went to church on Sundays, but they did so in an invisible world layered onto the human one. And in terms of appearance, they were not tiny Tinkerbells or majestic Legolas figures, but ordinary human-like beings living their lives in the natural landscape. Most tales from this period describe them as looking just like people, their otherworldliness revealed only by where and when they appeared. You might realize after the fact that a mysterious stranger you passed on the road was, in fact, a hidden person. For the most part, Icelandic folklore did not draw sharp lines between elves and the hidden folk. The terms were basically interchangeably used to describe this parallel, unseen society living alongside humans. Though also in the 19th century, we see a rise in folklorists beginning to describe different beings as different species. Elves versus trolls versus ghosts. The scholar Armand Jacobsen says that this was influenced by the rise of scientists creating a taxonomy of species, and folklorists wanted to get in on the taxonomic action. And eventually the medieval Álfar were reimagined as a specific category of being. And here we can see the groundwork being laid for Tolkien's elves in The Lord of the Rings. While the elves are quite ambiguous in Old Norse literature, Tolkien presents them as a clearly defined race, a humanoid species or people complete with their own languages, histories, and cultural traditions. Tolkien himself was pushing back against what he considered to be the degradation of elves in popular imagination. By his own time, elf often brought to mind the image of a tiny, whimsical sprite, kind of like Tinkerbell. His creation of an elevated, almost angelic race was a conscious attempt to restore what he saw as the true mythological aura of the elf. Remember, in the Poetic Edda, they often appear to be godlike, though his elves owe more to the taxonomy-driven mindset of 19th and early 20th century scholarship than to the fluid category of pre-Christian and medieval Icelandic thought. And here we finally arrive at the tourist elf of today. By the early 20th century, elves started to shift once again, this time not so much inside Iceland, but in how outsiders talked about them. The religious studies scholar Matthias Eggeler has shown that tourists gradually became fascinated with Icelandic elves, trolls, and other beings over the course of the 20th century. Earlier travelers hardly mentioned them at all. The German tourist Bernard Colley, for example, writing in the late 1800s, devoted just a single sentence to elves in his travel book, calling them a defunct superstition of the past. Fast forward to the 21st century and the picture looks very different. Folklore about elves is now front and center in travel writing about Iceland. For example, check out the author Sarah Moss, who wrote a memoir about a year she spent living in Reykjavik. She devotes 2 of her 16 chapters entirely to elves and folklore. The German writer Tina Bauer lived in Iceland for 2 years, and she wove frequent references to elves and hidden people into her memoir. As Dr. Eggeler Riley points out, both writers barely touch Iceland's actual state church, Lutheran Protestantism. Meanwhile, the picturesque imagery of local Icelandic beliefs in elves, trolls, and similar supernatural beings has taken a prominent place. It was during this time that elves were also being reimagined through the lens of the New Age movement, giving rise to Icelandic mediums and seers who claimed to communicate directly with them. The most famous of these was Erla Stefansdóttir, often described as Iceland's best-known elf specialist. She published books about elves, and most famously, a series of maps marking out elf dwellings. Translated into multiple languages and sold to tourists, these maps are still part of Iceland's tourist marketing today. She was also a member of the Icelandic branch of the Theosophical Society, a movement founded in the late 1800s that blended Western esotericism with Hindu and Buddhist ideas, and later became a key source and inspiration for the New Age movement. Through that connection, she reframed elves as part of a wider spiritual ecology, spirits tied to invisible energies and the sanctity of the natural world. In a sense, she acted as a kind of spiritual entrepreneur, mediating between folk tradition, global New Age ideas, and the tourist economy. Her illustrations of elves are also revealing, showing influence from Victorian fairy painting and pop culture like Lord of the Rings and Disney. And scholars argue that this pop culture imagery has started to loop back into Iceland itself. People increasingly imagine the hidden people not as invisible farmers living parallel lives in the hills and rocks, but as characters that look suspiciously like Legolas or Tinkerbell. Dr. Armand Jakobsen even draws a sharp line between what he calls the traditional Icelandic elf and the tourist elf, a hybrid figure born out of folklore, global pop culture, the New Age, and the demands of the tourism industry. But how do Icelanders today think about these beings? To get a clearer picture, we can turn to a series of national surveys that have tracked supernatural belief in Iceland over the past 50 years. The conversation exploded on the international stage after the publication of a survey in 1974. The survey found nearly half of respondents considered the existence of hidden people or elves as either probable or certain, at 24% respectively. Another 40% said it's at least possible. A few decades later, the University of Iceland supported a new batch of surveys conducted in 2006 and 2007 that aimed to follow up on this 1974 study. These new surveys asked many of the same questions on a wide variety of supernatural or paranormal beliefs, not just about elves, but also about belief in ghosts, astral projection, and guardian angels. The 2006 surveys found that these numbers had dropped dramatically, with only 9% saying that they were certain that elves or hidden people exist, and 18% calling them probable. Meanwhile, the share of respondents who considered their existence unlikely or impossible rose sharply, 24% and 15% respectively. The share who answered possible, however, declined only slightly, remaining relatively high at 35%. As I've said in a previous video though, international media coverage really loves to focus in on that middle category, that it's possible that elves or hidden people exist. This figure often gets lumped in with the probable and certain categories to produce a more dramatic sounding headline. More than half of Icelanders believe in elves, though this obscures what the numbers actually show. Not strong conviction, but a persistent reluctance to dismiss the possibility entirely. Finally, Dr. Terry Gunnell spearheaded a new survey in 2023, which shows a continued erosion in belief. Compared to the 1970s, when nearly half of respondents said elves were either probable or certain, only about 20% fall in those categories today, 12% probable and just over 8% as certain. Meanwhile, outright disbelief has climbed steadily. About 27% now say the existence of elves is impossible, and another 28% say it's unlikely. Perhaps most revealing is the shrinking middle ground. The possible category has slipped from around 40% in 1974 to around 25% in 2023. So where does this leave us today? On the one hand, the surveys are clear. The number of Icelanders who say the existence of elves or hidden people is certain or even probable has dropped steadily since the 1970s. Outright disbelief is higher than ever, but belief has not disappeared. What these raw numbers don't capture, though, is the texture of how Icelanders themselves navigate the question. A few years ago, I released a video about religion in Iceland, and several Icelanders in the Religion for Breakfast audience shared their own stories. One said their grandmother not only believed in the hidden people, but regularly interacted with them, though they emphasized she never thought of them as elves in the tourist sense. Another compared it to leaving cookies out for Santa even after you've stopped believing. You do it not because you're convinced Santa exists, but because it's part of the cultural fabric. Others admitted they don't believe at all, and some even found the international obsession with elves to be annoying, a stereotype blown out of proportion by guidebooks and tourism marketing. And yet, even skeptics said there's still a lingering respect. I was really intrigued by this viewer who said they are agnostic and yet reluctant to denounce beliefs my grandparents held in the hidden people. So while the media sometimes treats Iceland as a curiosity, a tiny secular nation that somehow still clings to these superstitions, there's actually a much wider range of responses than what a chart of numbers can illustrate, ranging from fading certainty to lingering respect and cultural identity. The real myth in the colloquial sense of a falsehood is the idea that modern societies ever fully left the supernatural behind. In his book, The Myth of Disenchantment, the scholar Jason Josephson Storm demonstrates how paranormal and supernatural beliefs continue at high rates all around the world, even in stereotypically secularized nations, whether we're talking about ghosts, horoscopes, spirits, angels, or demons. My hunch is that outlets like the New York Times latch onto elves as a puff piece topic precisely because the other-than-human being in question are elves. For Western audiences, angels and demons feel too familiar or too Christian to attract much attention. The elf, by contrast, conjures up images from pop culture, making for quirkier headlines. But as the anthropologist Tanya Lorman reminds us, all of these figures belong to the broader category of invisible others, beings that people imagine, narrate, and sometimes even claim to experience as part of their own world. The quirky headlines about elves tell us more about the media than it does about Icelanders, which is why I like using Ground News, a news comparison website and app that helps you cut through that spin by showing how different outlets cover the same story across the political spectrum. So, for example, check out this story on Ground News about President Trump recently suggesting that using Tylenol during pregnancy might cause autism, despite a major 2024 study debunking this claim. Here we can see Ground News has aggregated literally hundreds of outlets covering this story. Scroll down and we can see the majority of these sources are coming from centrist outlets, followed by left-leaning outlets and then right-leaning outlets. Scroll down again and you can see their factuality chart, which shows the vast majority of these sources are rated as highly factual. And finally here is the ownership chart. The largest chunk of these outlets are owned by media conglomerates, followed by wealthy private owners and then corporations. Ground News also enables you to compare the headlines to see how each side frames the story. The right-leaning Washington Examiner ran with this headline: Trump bashes establishment medical orgs on autism Tylenol link, framing the story as an ongoing battle with elites and institutions. While the left-leaning MSNBC wrote, Trump without new evidence tries to link Tylenol and autism. Here the emphasis is on Trump's absence of evidence. Ground News lets you see these perspectives side by side, helping you to see the broader view of the media landscape. Ground News also has a feature that I use all the time called the blind spot feed. It shows you stories that are heavily covered on one side of the political spectrum but almost completely ignored on the other. So instead of living in a news bubble, you can see what conversations you might be missing altogether. If you'd like to give it a try, Ground News is giving viewers 40% off their Vantage plan. Go to ground.news/religion for breakfast or click the link in the description below, and support an independent news platform working to make the media landscape more transparent.